Hello and welcome back to the Baka Gaijin Show. I'm your lovable rascal of a host, Siegfried, and with me, as always, is the very much indecent Kevin Faulkner.
Oh goodness, I'm indecent today, am I?
I can see ankle. That's scandalous.
Yeah, and I'm also not wearing a shirt. Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that part.
Yeah, no shirt, no shoes, no service, I guess.
Well, this is one manifestation of my psychic powers. I knew you were indecent before you even told me you were. Now I'm just thinking about how many things we've recorded together that you have not had clothes on for.
I can't tell you the exact number, but it's more than one.
I do recall back when we did Let's Plays. Man, that was forever ago. Back when we did the Novelty Hour, I do recall at times you told me you didn't have a lot of clothes on because it was really hot.
Yeah, we ended up recording a lot of... we ended up recording most of Novelty Hour in the summer.
Yeah.
And I can tell you one thing. Summer in Southern California is not fun, especially when you don't have central heating.
Mm-hmm. Man, that was like 4 houses ago for you.
Yeah, it was. Oh my god. Yeah, I moved to Ash's place, and then I moved to my grandma's place after that, and then I was homeless and living in a cabin, and then I was in the previous house, and now I'm in that's like 5 houses. Holy shit, what the fuck?
You've lived in more houses in that span of time than I've lived in my life.
That's like half the moves I've done in my entire life. Holy shit. All of them in the last 5 years.
That's what we do here on the Baka Gaijin Show. We provide perspective.
Just remember, if you think your life is bad, at the very least you haven't moved 5 times in 3 years.
Yeah. Your poor lumbar, maybe. I don't know.
My poor whatever the fuck is wrong with me, God. So...
various musculatures.
How you doing?
I am doing pretty good. I've had a surprisingly eventful week since we last recorded.
Ooh. So, do you want to tell us exactly what you've been up to in the last week or so?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I got a PS5 finally.
Woo!
A lot earlier than I thought I was going to, because my I believe I talked about it last time. My tribe check arrived. I think like a day or two after we recorded, actually.
Yeah.
And the first thing I did the next day was find someone on OfferUp to give me a reasonable price on a scalper PS5. Yeah, I bought from a scalper.
Yeah, reasonable for scalper prices.
Yeah, I paid $725, which, whatever. Look, someone's got to buy from the scalpers, otherwise they're just going to hold on to it forever.
You paid 1 month's rent of my rent for a PS5. Honestly, worth it.
Yeah, hashtag worth it. No, I mean, like, I justify it to myself in a number of ways. First of all, I just see it as paying someone else to deal with the hassle of actually finding one legitimately.
To be fair, finding a PS5 legitimately at this point is like finding a needle in a haystack. It's fucking horrid.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. There's a lot of fighting off robots and being in the right place at the right time. And yeah, I justify it to myself in a number of ways. Like, if I bought it officially, I'd have to pay sales tax, so it would be more expensive than you're probably thinking it would be, and at some point I can probably sell my PS4 because PS5 is 99% backwards compatible with PS4, so it's a little redundant, to have it around. I think I've talked, I guess I haven't because we haven't done a show in a while, but I've talked to you about the fact that I find it a little sad that the PS4 is the first console in a while to just be completely rendered almost obsolete. It's a little sad.
Yeah, because, like, I think the last time that happened was probably, like, the Game Boy Advance, which just completely invalidated both the Game Boy and the Game Boy Color completely.
Yeah.
Like, that's the last time I can think of.
Yeah, unless you're a fan of, like, the 9 games that don't work on PS5. which are all pretty fucking obscure, then it mostly replaces it and does a better job running most of its games. So,
well, okay, to be fair, there was also the 3DS, which played like 99% of DS games, but like it didn't have the Game Boy Advance slot, so none of the games that utilized peripherals would work. How else are you gonna play Guitar Hero on the bus?
Exactly. Although interestingly, like 3DS has GBA like running on a hardware level, which is interesting still.
It does, but they never made any of those, like the Ambassador games, like the 10-ish GBA games that they gave to early adopters. They never made those like publicly available after that. It was only for the early adopters.
Yeah, but if you've got a hacked 3DS like me, you can use an injector to turn any GBA ROM into a virtual console application, and it just runs natively. It's great. I played Zero Mission and Fusion that way.
I believe Zero Mission was actually one of the games that was part of the Ambassador program.
I think both were actually.
No, I think it was only Zero Mission.
I'm gonna look that up.
I think it was like Zero Mission, all of the Mario games, F-Zero Maximum Velocity, and shit like that. That is a good point, though.
Yeah, Nintendo does that a lot. Remember how the Wii has a fully functional DVD player built in and you can't use it?
Yeah, entirely because they read the discs at a different speed than a DVD.
It's so fucking weird.
God, it's... When my uncle got his Wii, he was expecting it to actually, like, play DVDs. So he tried to put a DVD into it and was confused when it didn't fucking work. I remember that distinctly.
Whoa, Kevin is wrong, because I just found the list of official GBA Ambassador Program games, and Zero Mission is not here, but Fusion was.
Ah, okay. I knew it was one of the Metroid GBA games. Like, I just couldn't remember which one exactly.
The Game Boy Advance 3DS Ambassador Program games were Metroid Fusion, Mario vs. Donkey Kong, Mario Kart Super Circuit, Yoshi's Island, Super Mario Advance 3, WarioWare Inc. Mega Micro Games, Legend of Zelda Minish Cap, Fire Emblem Sacred Stones, Wario Land 4, F-Zero Maximum Velocity, and Kirby and the Amazing Mirror.
Kirby and the Amazing Mirror, I'm not going to say it's the better GBA Kirby game, but it's the one that's not a remake.
Was the mirror amazing, Kevin?
I'd say it was pretty good.
Easily in your top 3 mirrors.
Yeah.
I forgot what else we were talking about. I was so obsessed with proving you're wrong.
Isn't that just how it always is?
Yeah.
We're constantly trying to one-up each other. It's like, no, you're wrong. No, you're wrong. Remember the 1.5-hour conversation we had on Twitter about whether or not animation that was shot on 35mm could be considered 4K?
Yeah, I thought you were gonna bring up the Coke Zero debate, but yeah, that too.
No. The 35mm debate was way weirder.
Less accessible to the layperson, I would say.
Yeah. For the record, I won that debate.
Yeah, most people have a valid opinion about Coca-Cola. Most people don't fucking know what the hell you're talking about when you're talking about whether animation cells have resolution or not.
Boy, that was a hell of an afternoon. I even had someone send me a DM like, bruh, is Zeke okay? There were actually people DMing me like, dude, what the fuck is Zeke on? It was fun. It was funny. It was funny.
Yep. We have fun. We have fun here.
So yeah, what else have you been up to aside from getting a PS5? Because I assume there's a game that you've played on PS5 recently.
That is exactly right. And that game is Jedi Fallen Order. No, I'm just kidding. I'm not talking about that yet. No, I played all of Psychonauts 2. It was great.
In like 24 hours, you beat that game.
No, it was over like 3 days or so.
Okay.
It would have been 24 hours if I had a decent sleep schedule, but I don't.
Yeah, you blew through that game pretty fast, though.
Well, to be fair, it's a very well-paced game.
That's good.
Yes, I had a lot of fun. I really enjoyed it. I did a very short and brief rambling video.
A very short, brief 42-minute rambling video.
Well, let me tell you something. The rambling videos, I ramble. That as is in the name. And a lot of times I'll go into one of those videos and I'll think to myself, okay, this is going to be a quick 15-minute affair, and then I talk for almost an hour. And that's just kind of how it goes. There's a lot of pauses, there's a lot of ums and I thinks, and
Yeah.
I pause when I'm really stumped, but most of the time it's just completely raw.
Yeah, even if you cut all that out, it probably would have been a 30-minute video.
Yeah, something like that. So people can check that out for my extended thoughts, but I thought it was really good. Yeah, I really enjoyed it.
Everyone seems to pretty much agree that it lives up to expectations, which is rare for a sequel that's been this long coming.
Yeah. And for some people, it's shocking that Tim Schafer made a good video game, even though most of his career has been good video games.
Yeah, you fumble one time and suddenly everyone thinks you're Satan.
Yeah. There was an AM. Yeah. There are people out there that have a weird hate boner for Tim Schafer, and I don't understand it. And I'm the one he's blocked on Twitter, so,
Yeah, when this guy doesn't understand, maybe you should get some perspective.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just, yeah. That's a whole thing. I did find out, I think I speculated in that video that Eric Wolpa did not actually contribute to the game.
And I actually reached out. You were fucking right.
Yeah, I reached out to Eric Wolpa on Twitter. Thankfully, he has a Twitter, unlike 90% of people I want to reach out to who don't. I was worried he wasn't going to get back to me because he hadn't tweeted in 3 months, but then he got back to me in less than a day, and he's like, nope, I didn't do any writing on it. Our schedules never aligned, despite reports that he came back for it, which is a shame. I feel like the game would have been better if he had been there, but it was still really good. I still really enjoyed Psychonauts 2.
Yeah, Tim Schafer's still a really good writer.
Yeah. I'm just saying that Eric Wolpa is the funniest guy to write for video games, and I feel like the humor would have had more edge and bite to it if he had been involved. Because I feel like what made the first game so amazing was the fusion of Tim Schafer's heart and goofiness combined with Eric Wolpa's edginess and irreverent wit. And the latter is a little bit lacking in the sequel.
Yeah, well, Psychonauts, I've played a good chunk of the first game. Psychonauts does have a bit of a bite to it in terms of its humor that I really do enjoy.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm assuming a lot of that comes from Eric.
I assume, having played other games he's written for, other games Tim Schafer's written for, I would presume so. Not that Tim Schafer's not funny. He's just funny in a different way.
Yeah.
I'm gonna adjust this cord here. And we're back. Just had a thing to deal with.
Yeah, whoopsie.
Yep. Anyway, Psychonauts 2 was great, and I loved experiencing it on... I'm so glad I got to play it on PS5 at 1440p at 60 FPS. Real nice, really smooth.
That's great. Sorry, I fucking blanked there for a hot second. Wow.
Yeah. Oh, the more frames is gooder.
True.
I am loving that, performance modes are becoming more of a standard in new games. Especially since the consoles, the ninth gen consoles.
Jeez.
Yeah, video games have been around for a while. Maybe we should start respecting them as a medium. Anyway, have enough horsepower, to have, variable resolution and, give consumers options, which is good. I like when consumers have options.
Yeah, and I think it also helps to alleviate a little bit of the divide there has been between console and PC gaming for a while.
Yeah.
PC gaming is always going to have its benefits, mostly in terms of modability. But the higher refresh rate, like the higher frame rate performance modes, like some games I've seen run at like 1440p, 120 FPS on the new systems, and I think that's a really good way of kind of bridging the gap between PC and console gaming, because there's always been a very clear divide between them, and I think this helps to kind of like minimize the divide a little bit more.
Yeah. My personal goal is to see how long I can go. Aside from playing older PS4 games that haven't been updated, obviously, I want to see how long I can go with the system before I have to succumb to 30 FPS on a newer game.
Give it 5 years, I'd assume.
Maybe. I'm also like, I'm new to like super high resolutions, so like at this point, anything over 1080p is just a bonus to me. Where I'm like, ooh, it's slightly sharper. My eyes have not adjusted to the point where I can tell, 1200p from 1440p from 1569p or whatever the fuck that weird one is to 1800 and I guess 1440 to 4K is kind of a leap, but like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not adjusted and used to those higher resolutions enough yet that I can like discernibly like be bothered by, a drop like that.
Yeah. The main benefit to 4K is, like, it doesn't necessarily give the same punchy upgrade that going from standard definition to 1080p did. The main benefit to 4K is a more refined picture quality, finer details, and in the case of video games, less aliasing and less shimmering. And that's the main benefit for video games. And in terms of movies, in terms of 4K movies and whatever, especially for older films, the main benefit is having a more natural filmic experience. Which that brings me to an interesting subject that I found out. So there are a lot of different 4K Blu-rays with HDR that have the grain removed on them. Stuff like Terminator 2, Lupin the Third, The Castle of Cagliostro. And something that a lot of people on like Blu-ray.com and people who are like massive video whores like me have been wondering is like, why are so many studios, removing the grain on these films for their 4K releases? And Justin Savakis, who does the Blu-ray authoring for Discotech Media, including their 4K releases, which also, Discotech Media is actually the first North American anime distributor to do 4K Blu-rays. That's fun. But he actually...
I think it's mostly because they work with older stuff where like that's more viable. Because like the more modern digital stuff, like as you proved to me in our debate about cells, you can get a 4K picture quality out of that has some merit to it. Whereas with modern digital stuff, it all has to be AI upscaled if you want to do it, and it's not quite as good.
Well, in terms of like film scans and whatever, Justin Savakis actually explained that for some movies, the HDR process actually causes a lot more video noise to come through with the grain structure. It tends to amplify the grain to a point where it becomes very harsh and noisy, which is why a lot of films which is why there are a number of 4K releases that either try to lessen the grain structure or remove it completely, because apparently they tried to do an HDR grade on the raw film scan and it looked really bad due to the color amplification. It's mostly in red colored stuff. It's mostly in the reds.
I've noticed that with HDR, like the color red is the most affected. Like you can when I first started using this HDR monitor, the two colors that are really noticeable when you have HDR enabled are red and green.
Yep.
They look very different. I'm assuming like the more grain being visible is also this is just me speculating because I'm a guy who knows some things but not everything. That it might be a result of, because the main benefit of HDR is like the wider spectrum between bright and dark. So I'm assuming more of that grain is being illuminated that wasn't visible before because of the increased spectrum of light being allotted.
Yeah, I'm feeling that's probably true.
Yeah.
I could probably bring that up to Justin and he'd probably give me an answer. But yeah, that's a good point, and you're probably right. But yeah, that's apparently the reason why they do that, is because HDR does not play well with film grain in a lot of cases. Which explains why and you mentioned the color green in particular, which explains why Castle of Cagliostro was one of the ones that had the grain scrubbed off, because that movie has a lot of green. Lupin has a green fucking jacket.
Yeah.
Yeah. Kind of a consistent eyesore throughout the film at that point, so yeah, I kind of get it.
Yeah, one of the first films I watched, this is before I had a 4K capable device, but I did have HDR on I could force HDR through the monitor. One of the first films I watched with it was Zootopia, which of course has Nick's red fur, and there's a lot of like trees and like greenery in that film. So
yeah.
that was pretty nice. I should do that again, but in 4K this time.
One of the first. Go ahead.
Was that rendered natively in 4K?
It's a 2K upscale, but it did have proper HDR color grading.
Yeah.
The first movie I saw with HDR was Monsters University.
That is an amazing first choice.
Dude, the green on Mike's skin just pops. It really does.
That is an insanely colorful film. That was also the first film to use ray tracing. That Pixar used ray tracing in the animation process, and you can really tell because if you compare the lighting in Brave to Monsters University, the next film, it's completely different.
Brave looks so flat in comparison, and that's not to say that Brave's a bad looking movie at all. But the difference between the rasterized. The difference between the rasterized lighting effects versus the ray traced lighting effects, it's night and day.
Yeah, there are scenes in Monsters University that were just purely masturbating to the fucking new ray tracing tech, like that thing with the like they're in the dark and there are those like urchin things that are all glowy.
Yeah,
that was 100% because they wanted to show off the ray tracing.
They were just flexing that at that point. Yeah, and I can't blame them. Soul looks really fucking good. Soul is a gorgeous fucking movie. Oh my god.
I was shocked to learn, you told me this a while ago, that the first Pixar film to be rendered natively in 4K was actually Onward.
It was Onward, yeah.
Very recently they started doing that.
You'd think that Pixar, being so cutting edge, would be doing that a lot more recently than Onward, but yeah, no. Onward is the first like native 4K Pixar movie.
Yeah, which is crazy to me, but I guess like when you're talking about like that kind of like render farm insanity that animated films go through, it was probably like a significant cost, and like it was probably like a money and time and resource thing. Like it took a while to figure out, I guess.
Yeah, even bringing Justin Sudeikis back up again, like Discotheque Media, they're doing a remaster of the 1980s movie Project Echo, and they had a 4K film scan for that, which is what they're using for the basis of the HD remaster. And Justin Sudeikis has a cutting-edge workstation PC with like a high-end GPU and like a Threadripper CPU.
Jelly!
And Project Echo, remastering that and rendering it, brought his workstation to its knees. Like, 4K is really difficult to render. Like, even now with like cutting edge technology, it's difficult to render, so I can get why...
It's a lot of pixels.
Yeah, I can understand why Pixar had such an issue with like doing 4K native for so long, and why it only took until Onward for them to actually do it.
Yeah, when you see on Disney Plus the 4K symbol, that often just means a 2K upscale.
Yeah, a good way to figure out whether or not a movie is native 4K. I use Blu-ray.com, because they list at the top of the page whether or not a particular Blu-ray release is a 2K upscale or native 4K.
I mean, wouldn't if it's UHD, wouldn't that tell you that?
Well, just because it's on 4K Blu-ray doesn't mean it was natively rendered in 4K.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, right. I forgot. Companies lie to you.
They do. That's not
crazy.
That's not to say a 2K upscale doesn't have its benefits over a regular 1080p Blu-ray, but
I mean, 2K native is still twice as big as what you're probably used to if you have a standard HD television. So,
well, 2K isn't that far off from 1080p. It's more so like a minor,
right. God damn it! I hate these labels. They always make me think it's twice when it's not.
I know. Numbers.
4K
how do they work?
isn't actual. 4K isn't even 4K. It's 3960. No, it's 2160 by 3980. Right, but 3940. Yeah. But what fucking annoys me about it is that they changed it so that they're measuring the horizontal instead of the vertical now. Because all the previous ones were measuring the vertical, but now they're cheating by measuring the horizontal, and that doesn't even actually reach 4,000. It bothers the shit. I love 4K, but I fucking hate that label. It's so stupid. It's cheating on multiple levels. it's fucking Atari do the math, but with video.
You're getting some Atari Jaguar vibes from this.
You never want to have Atari Jaguar vibes.
So what else have you been up to?
Well, the next game I played after Psychonauts 2 I'm playing right now is Jedi Fallen Order, the native PS5 upgrade.
The only good game EA has released in the last 5 years.
People like Star Wars Squadrons.
Okay, yeah, there's that too.
People like Unravel 2.
Okay, I get it.
Actually, they have like their whole indie program.
That's true.
You know, the Fuck the Oscars guy has a few games on there. He released one recently. It Takes Two. People like that. Coming up next month is
It Takes Two was published by EA. Holy shit!
Yeah, it's the same guy behind A Way Out. It's the Fuck the Oscars guy.
Well, fuck me sideways. Okay.
What's his name? Yosef, I think.
Something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, and next month I'm looking forward to a game called Lost in Random, which is also by EA's like indie label, which is a weird fucking thing because it's not indie, it's published by Electronic Arts. but you know what they mean. It's like their small creator label, which is like one of the weird it's one of those things EA does where I'm like, are they drunk? I don't know what's wrong with them. But I'm glad that some creative stuff is coming out of them. Lost in Random looks really cool. It looks like the Alice 3 we never got.
Yeah, that's pretty cool, actually. I didn't realize EA had actually stepped up their games so much in the last few years.
Oh yeah, you know what else came out of that program? Faya, that one with the little fox creature and the purple crystals and stuff. Yeah, I played that. That was good.
Is that the one where you're just like, I don't like the character design at all? Or am I thinking of something else? Because there was this there was this one game where like the main character basically looked like furry Laharl, and you hated the character design.
Oh no! That's Kaze and the Wild Masks.
Okay.
Yeah, that's a 2D game.
Okay.
That's a fun game if you like Donkey Kong Country style of gameplay.
Oh, I love Donkey Kong Country.
Yeah, you'd enjoy that. It's a fun game, but man, I hate the main character's design so much. It's furry Laharl, and it's not even done well. There's just so many little things about it that are just. I might like do a rant video at some point about it because it's just so. There's just so many little things, and I'm like, ugh. This could have been a good design, but you fucked it. You fucked it 6 ways from Sunday.
Just like crawling in the back of your neck, just I don't like how that feels.
Yeah. But anyway, Jedi Fallen Order. I'm playing on performance mode because that's the only mode you should be playing on PS5 because quality mode is fucked. That's a bad quality mode. The quality mode is 4K 30, but it's a really choppy 30. It's not good. But the performance mode is 60 FPS 1440, and it runs really well. Runs like a dream. I'm finding the game pretty fun.
Yeah, Jedi Fallen Order is... A lot of people tend to refer to Jedi Fallen Order as EA apologizing for Battlefront 2.
In some ways, I suppose so.
Yeah, people generally like that game. Like, it's good to see that EA is actually kind of listening and kind of trying to do better. Because, like, I think they pushed their bullshit as far as they can push it, and now they have to reel back. lest they lose all of their money.
I don't know, Kevin. I just saw Angry Joe's hour-long rant about Madden 22 last night, so I'm not feeling...
Yeah,
my optimism for EA is not super high right now.
Yeah, I keep forgetting EA Sports is a thing. Fuck!
It's in the game, Kevin.
No, the fuck it ain't!
It's in the game, unless you're talking about one of the 89 features from Madden 05 that aren't in Madden 22, in which case it's not in the game.
God, that counted?
Yeah, somebody counted where it's like, here are the 89 features that were in Madden 2005 that are not in Madden 22.
Sweet Jesus. Okay, wow. So I'm glad you're liking Jedi Fallen Order.
Yes, I do recommend everyone check out Angry Joe's new Madden rant. I know he makes a lot of these, but this is like the most complete and comprehensive fuck you yet.
Anything else you've been doing, or can I go on?
Yeah, you can talk.
Okay. My last week has been a roller coaster.
Oh, yeah?
Two major things happened. One good, one very not good. Which, it's gonna get dark here in a second, so, strap in. The first thing I did is I completed my rewatch of The King of Braves, Gao Gaigar.
Yep.
Which, oh my god, that show is so fucking good. So, Gao Gaigar is this late 90s super robot anime. It's the last installment of like the Brave series, which is like a thing between Takara and Sunrise back when like the Brave series started in the early 90s after Transformers Generation 1 kind of petered off, and Takara, who is the co-creators of Transformers, were like, well, we can't really do Transformers right now because no one's fucking buying the toys, but we still kind of want to do Transformers, so we're just going to find someone else to do Transformers, but we're not going to call it Transformers.
Yeah, I remember the 2-hour deep dive we did to answer the question, is Transformers Japanese?
The answer is yes and no.
Kind of, sort of, a little, maybe.
Its origins are Japanese. We'll put it that way.
It's complicated.
It is. It is the very definition of an American-Japanese co-production. It is basically equal both.
Yeah. There's no right answer to that question. Only rabbit holes.
You don't want to go that deep. But yeah, Gao Gaigar's so motherfucking good, man. I don't know if I would call it better than Gurren Lagann, because Gurren Lagann's my favorite anime, but it is top 5 best mecha anime ever made, in my opinion. A lot of people tend to criticize Gao Gaigar a little bit for being a Monster of the Week series for the first 26 episodes, and then for the last, I think 23, 24 episodes, it switches over to having more of a serialized narrative. A lot of people criticize those early episodes, but watching it through again, the fact that they decided to go for a slower Monster of the Week formula actually worked very greatly to the show's benefit, because it allowed for a much more gradual introduction of various characters, mecha, powers, lore, concepts, story elements, plot threads. The first half of the show is all build-up. And you need that slow build-up throughout the first 26 episodes, because the last half of the show is absolutely fucking insane.
Yep.
I have never seen a show with that kind of serialized escalation before. it has some
the roller coaster's got to go up before it goes down.
Dude, holy shit. Like, it's a very slow, like, using the roller coaster comparison, it's a very slow ascent during the first half of the show, but, like, it goes high. Like, that is that is a very steep incline, and when it goes down hard. And, like, it just keeps barreling forward faster and faster until the end. Like, Gao Gaigar has, again, some of the best written serialized escalation I have ever seen in an anime. Like, the difference, the gulf in just the level of threat that goes from, like, the beginning of the show to the end of the show is so wild. And watching it just progress is so friggin' engaging. I cannot get enough of that show. I fucking love Gao Gaigar. It's so goddamn good. I started up on the OVA sequel, Gao Gaigar Final, which, that's fantastic too. I love Final. Final is a little bit different. Gao Gaigar, the TV series, is nominally a kids show. It does kind of push the limits of what you can get away with in a kids show later on, in terms of how, in terms of just how intense it can get. Like, it gets pretty tense. But, like, Gao Gaigar Final is intended pretty much for an adult audience outright. So they're able to get darker, they're able to put in more fan service. Yeah, you can tell it's not meant for kids because one of the villains in Gao Gaigar Final is just straight up a dominatrix. And yeah, they lean into that. They do. Not for kids. Don't let your kids watch it. But
we're due. We're not the government.
Yeah, I'm about halfway through Gao Gaigar Final, and I would have watched more. And now we're gonna get dark a little bit. Now we're gonna get a little bit depressing. On Friday, my sibling's dog Onyx passed away, and that was on Friday evening. Like, he's been having he's been having health issues for the last few years, and it just barreled downward very recently. And he passed away on Friday night, and I spent pretty much all of Saturday being depressed about it. Thankfully, I had a lot of people to talk to. I had a lot of people on Twitter giving me condolences. I had some friends in another server, kind of helping me talk through it. I loved that dog. Like, he's not my dog, but, like, I took care of him. I helped to raise him in some regard. And it's very, very weird not having him here now. I'm over it now, for the most part. And I don't want to dwell on this too long, but that was my weekend. I dealt with that. So yeah, going from the high of finishing a show as amazing as Gao Gaigar to having a dead pet is not a feeling I can recommend ever having.
Yeah.
So oh boy.
Yeah, my dog died last year.
I remember that.
Yeah, although I wasn't honestly too upset about it because I saw it coming for a long time. It had been like it was like 5 solid months where, like, I thought that I knew that he was gonna die like any day now. So I just got very accustomed to the idea, and when we finally decided to put him down because he just couldn't fucking move anymore. And so by that point I was like, well, I said my goodbyes, and that was that.
Yeah.
Didn't need to go. Didn't need to see that. I was just like, yeah, he in a lot of ways had been dead for months already, and this was just the final bit of it.
Yeah.
So I wasn't too upset.
It was kind of a similar thing with Onyx, because we knew for a few years that he was on a downward trend. Let me tell you one thing. This dog lived longer than any of us expected him to. So there is that, but we didn't have the luxury of taking him to a veterinarian to have him put down. We just had to lay him down in his bed and wait for him to go, which that was hard. But I think that was ultimately what was best for him, because he was comfortable, he was in his bed, well, as comfortable as you can be when you're dying. He was comfortable, he was in his bed, he was surrounded by loved ones, and he didn't make a whole lot of noise. Like, he wasn't howling, he wasn't crying or anything. He just silently went, and that's probably the best way that you can go, is just silently in a place that you're comfortable. So I think it worked out. I think it was a better option for him than having to drag him to the vet and have him put down over there. I think it was better for him.
So what'd you do with it? You're gonna get ashes, or?
Yeah, we took him. We didn't have the money to actually cremate him right away, but we found a place that put his body inside of a cooler for a few days, so that when we do get paid, we can pay for the cremation process. And we're not gonna get the ashes back because that's gonna be like $200, because they have to like get an urn and shit. But and like there's a whole like registration process that goes with it.
We got an urn of my dog. I got his ashes on the fireplace next to a little figurine of him.
Yeah, we're not going to be getting his ashes back, but we will be getting prints, like ink prints of his nose and his paw prints, and a small glass vial of his fur. Yeah, which I think that's good enough.
Yeah. Man, I hate to one up you, but we had like a clay paw print indentation done.
Oh, yeah, we're gonna get that too. Yeah.
Yeah.
But
that's a weird. This feels like a sitcom situation where someone's trying to one up their neighbor, but it's about their dog dying.
Oh, is that how your dog died? Well, let me tell you what.
Oh.
That's terrible. Oh my god.
That's a peasant's death.
God. Christ. Okay, well.
Well, I know what I'm doing if I ever get to write for a sitcom.
Yeah, that was my last week. Not as much happened with me as it did with Zeke, but I watched an anime.
Yeah, that's good.
And it was fun. I love that show so much. I wanted to get relicensed so bad. Gao Gaigar was back in like the 2000s and into the early 2010s was licensed by Media Blasters, which hell of a name.
Take that, Media.
Fuck.
Oh wait, no, it's like they're blasting the media into your face. Okay,
into my eyeballs. But,
yeah. They're not attacking the media. They're launching the media as an attack on you.
Yes,
I get it.
It's an assault on the senses.
You should be watching.
Wrong company.
Well, you should be.
You should be.
They can be right for the wrong reasons.
True. You should be watching. I don't want to.
I just really find that slogan funny.
Oh, it's hilarious.
Hey, you should be watching.
You should be watching.
Okay, I'll watch the
But yeah, it was licensed by Gao Gaigar was licensed by Media Blasters, I believe beginning in 2005, and they lost the license in like 2011, 2012. It was like a 6-7 year license. They only dubbed the first half of the show, which, if you'll remember what I said, that means they stopped 2 episodes shy of where Gao Gaigar goes fucking ham. So they only dubbed the build-up. They didn't dub the rest of the show.
Well, it happens.
They didn't even get to the best parts.
Oh well.
Which sucks because the dub is actually really good, and Mike Centurniclas is an amazing Gai Shishio. Holy shit. I didn't think there was anybody who could match Nobuyuki Hiyama's energy as that character, but Mike did it. Mike did it, man. Like, the English dub Gao Gaigar team, they deserved to, at the very least, do the Projectile X scene in episode, I think, episode 30. In episode 30. They at least deserve to do episode 30. I'm sad that they didn't go one more volume further. They could have done one more volume, and I would have been happy, but no. They had to stop just shy. And it really sucks. Fuck. I hate it.
Well...
jeez.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's been unlicensed for like a decade now, and with Gao Gaigar being in Super Robot Wars 30, which is getting an English-American release, by the way, I think we're due for a relicense of Gao Gaigar. Hey, Discotech, Right Stuff, somebody, please get this show and re-release it. I will pay good money.
Watch, it'll be someone you hate.
Oh god, if Funimation gets it, I will still buy it, but only begrudgingly so.
That's a good consumer.
I will buy it begrudgingly.
That's a good fucking cog in the capitalist machine.
Oh, I hate this. I hate that how they have me by the balls. Fuck.
Mm-hmm.
This is the bad thing about being into capitalist media.
The bad thing about living on this fucking planet.
Yep.
I know I said it's in my top 1 planets, and that's still true, but, you know, there's some downsides.
There's some negative elements to it, I can't deny.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah,
you ever hear about malaria? Shit's horrifying.
Holy shit. But yeah, that's what I've been up to. Yeah, it's fun times.
Yep.
And not so fun times.
Well, at least you don't have malaria.
At least I don't have that's a good benefit. That is a very distinctly good benefit to my life. I don't have malaria, and I have a very low chance of getting malaria.
Yep. Well, that's what we've been up to this week. I think it's time for a break.
Yeah, let's say that's a good segment. All right.
Yep. All right. Tune in to the next segment on the Baka Gaijin Show. Hello and welcome back to the Baka Gaijin Show.
Haha.
We're gonna, it's a new era for the Baka Gaijin Show in many ways. And we have new exciting ideas for things we can do on the show. And one of my ideas is to go Reddit diving and find fun posts to read aloud and react to and comment on.
That sounds fun.
Yeah, so it'll be, a mix of things from time to time, from subreddits like Am I the Asshole? Today I Fucked Up, things of that nature.
I assume you have some already queued up.
Indeed I do.
Wonderful.
Let's start with a Tifu post, a Today I Fucked Up post, which ranks, users are allowed to submit instances where they believe they fucked up, and they can grade them from like a small fuck up to a medium fuck up to a large to an extra large fuck up. Today we got a medium fuck up, and the post title is Today I Fucked Up by Setting My Medication Alarm to Jotaro Kujo's theme.
Alright.
So, he writes, I have to take medication. So that medication gives me an extremely low libido, so I basically go months without jerking it. I take medication every day at the same time, and to make myself a little more enthusiastic about it, I set the alarm to Jotaro Kujo's theme from JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. So far, so good, right? This morning was one of those rare days where I wanted to tickle the pickle, except I'm AFAB, but I can't think of a better euphemism at the moment, so here I am, enjoying myself using a certain pink vibrating object as well. All fun and games, right? I have some random ASMR of my favorite voice actor playing on my phone to help keep me in the mood. It's all great. So I'm starting to get near the end, obviously enjoying myself. I pick up the pace just to get it over with. It's great. Well, here's the thing. I forgot to check the time before I started. The moment the dam breaks and I'm in bliss, my pill alarm starts sounding, and I'm talking the exact moment I'm being taken to heaven to the sound of manly electric guitar and saxophone. Obviously, the ASMR is drowned out in favor of the manliest theme known to man, but since I couldn't exactly stop once I started, I ended up ending it to said theme. But here's the kicker. My roommate usually sleeps in until late afternoon, but sometimes she wakes up to the sound of my alarm as well. And guess what? Today was one of those days. And I'm already certain she heard me wailing like a visual novel love interest with Jotaro's theme playing in the background, because she sent me a text asking if I'm okay. I wonder how I'll explain that. You know, I'm a huge JoJo fan. I even have the star tattoo and everything, but now I'm starting to think it's a bit of a curse. So instead of a giant ora beatdown, it was more like an aura situation. Now excuse me while I go wallow in shame.
Oh my... God, imagine busting into JoJo's theme. Jeez. Oh, man. How do I react to that? How do I comment on this?
I mean, like, that one's just a fun story, you know?
Okay, yeah, I can't say that I've had anything nearly that bad happen by setting an alarm to a particular anime theme.
Yeah.
But that's,
See, I've fucking had my own room for fucking ever, since I was like 11.
Yeah.
So these kinds of stories I cannot relate to, because I've always had a relatively high degree of privacy in my life, which is nice.
Right.
And then here's a post I thought you might find relatable, Kevin.
Oh boy, here we go.
This is an Am I the Asshole post, and the title is Am I the Asshole for Forcing My Sister to Eat Cold Chicken?
What the okay. I'm not sure how I can find this relatable, but let's see how far it goes.
Well, it involves obstinate children.
Let's see how this goes.
So, here's some background info. He writes, my sister, 8 years old, is in my opinion, spoiled rotten. I can understand buying her a ton of toys and stuff like that because we have the financial means.
Yeah.
But she doesn't usually do anything ever. She makes messes in her room and expects mom or grandma to clean it up. She won't do any schoolwork unless mom directly supervises her. She won't even wipe her ass, and mom has to do that for her.
Okay, yeah, at the very least, these kids aren't that bad.
Keep in mind, this is an 8-year-old.
Yeah.
She's never had as much as a stern talking to no matter what she does. On multiple occasions, she's left doors wide open, which has resulted in our cats getting almost killed by a neighborhood dog. My family laughed it off, saying she's a little kid and she doesn't understand what's right and wrong. So I hope you get some semblance of what our family dynamic is like.
God, those fucking people. Yeah, no, if you're 8 years old, I'm pretty sure you know the difference between right and wrong. At that point, you're just being an asshole.
So today, I was home alone with her as our parents went out for work. I went downstairs to heat up some soup for lunch and asked her if she wanted any, but she said she didn't like the soup. She was hungry though and asked for leftover chicken. I put the chicken on her plate and explained to her how the microwave works. You put the plate in, you cover it, you set the dial to a couple of minutes.
I see where this is going. Okay.
Told her I couldn't go upstairs to heat it up because I was heating up soup on the stove and didn't want it to start boiling and make a mess. She started complaining, saying that the microwave is too far away. We were downstairs, the microwave was upstairs, and that she wanted to watch TV instead, whatever. I told her again that I couldn't go heat it up for her right now and that if she really wanted me to do it for her, she'd have to wait, which she told me that she was hungry now. So I told her, then you either go up and heat it yourself or eat it cold, because she's a big girl now and she can do that herself. She said she'll eat it cold and then did that. When mom returned, she asked my sister what she had for lunch, and she said chicken, but cold because I refused to heat it up for her. In classic overprotective mom fashion, she got really upset and called me selfish for not doing something so basic for my sister, even after I told her my reasoning. I honestly still think I'm in the right, and that at 8 years old she should be able to do things like reach the microwave, but now my whole family is upset with me. Am I the asshole?
No, you're basically in the right there. Fuck them.
Yep.
That kid has been sheltered for far too long, and their parents have allowed them to get away with way too much bullshit for far too long, and at this point, it has become a problem, and it is on them for not properly raising her instead of you for expecting her to act her age.
Yeah. What makes this even more damning is in the comments. He says, "I was so surprised when I went to stay at my dad's place and saw my 5-year-old brother clean up after himself and go to the bathroom all by himself. My sister will just sit on the toilet and yell for her mom to wipe her. And someone's like, at 8 years old? What the fuck? What did she do at school?" And then he responds, this is the really damning part, "Apparently, she's really well behaved at school from what her teachers say. I think it's more an issue of, well, mom's here and she'll do everything for me because she's slightly better if mom's away."
Oh, God. Oh, God. I get that. Oh, my God. Fuck. Kids do that all the time. They really do. Fuck. God fucking damn it. Oh.
Yep.
Oh, God. No, that's very no.
You are perfectly capable of wiping your own ass. You're being a dick on purpose.
Exactly. It's entirely situational at that point. It's just mom's here and mom doesn't care, so I have the opportunity to act up. My siblings' kids have the same thing where it's like, oh, mom's not here, but dad is. Dad doesn't give a shit. I can just do whatever. Like, oh my God, I get that. I do. Holy crap. I wasn't expecting this to be so relatable.
I knew you'd find it relatable.
This man, he knows.
I know all.
Yeah, no. At that point, the kid is just, being a spoiled little turd and needs to grow up. Oh, man. Wow, I had stronger opinions on that than I was expecting. Fun.
Yep. Well, that's all I could find on short notice. I'll keep on the lookout for good Reddit posts to read on the show.
Yeah, I can see this particular idea going quite a long way.
But we have something else fun to do today. I saw this on Twitter and thought it'd be fun for us to fill out this 1 like equals 1 video game answer chart. And we're just going to pretend you all gave us 30 likes apiece because we're vain like that.
Oh man, I forgot to do this. Well, I'm going to try my best. You gave me like 3 days to do this and I forgot. You gotta remember, I'm a space case, so...
I expect nothing less from you.
I have like half the answers in my head already, so let's go.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I'm gonna be honest, Kevin, this is 100% within my expectations.
It's just
does that make you feel better?
Does
that make you feel better or worse?
It's just how things normally are around here. It's neutral.
Well, it is what it is.
Haha! One of your characters says that.
Okay, so question number 1. What was our very first video game?
My very first video game, I can't remember which one it was because it was like the same day at the same house, but it was either Spyro the Dragon or Sonic Jam.
Spyro the Dragon was one of my earliest ones as well, and I had a hard time thinking about this because I started very, very young. Yeah. Basically, as soon as I could fucking like shit in the toilet by myself and like walk, I was playing video games of some variety.
I didn't even realize that I had actually played Spyro the Dragon on that day until I had the Reignited trilogy on Switch with the original soundtrack turned on, and suddenly I just got this massive wave of nostalgia wash over me, and I'm like, shit, I was playing Spyro the Dragon!
It's like Boomerang, it's all coming back to you.
Just like that memory unlocked for me, and I'm like, oh!
For me though, my best guess, and this is really me guessing because I would have been like 2 or 3 years old, like really young.
Yeah, I was around the same age, yeah.
This is me just piecing shit together from context clues, but I knew that both my grandma and my daycare lady, who I went to very often, they both had NESs, which you gotta remember, when we were little kids, the NES was not that old. It was only like a decade old at that point, so it was a normal thing to have, for people to have. So I think my first game was probably one of a few NES games. It was either Super Mario Brothers, Duck Hunt, Excitebike, Dig Dug, or Mega Man. I remember Dig Dug especially being something I played at the I remember my grandma had a lot of the good games. She had like Super Mario Brothers and Mega Man and stuff like that. But the daycare lady had a lot of games I didn't really like as much, like Dig Dug and Excite Bike and stuff.
Yeah.
But I'm assuming it was probably one of those somewhere in there.
Yeah, I didn't actually. So, like, as much of a massive Mega Man nerd that I am now, I actually didn't play Mega Man until like middle school, high school.
Oh, I probably was fucking awful at it as a child.
Oh yeah, Mega Man games on NES are balls hard, man. I mean, Mega Man 2 is the easiest of them all, but like even then, it's a really solid challenge.
Right. So, question 2, favorite character, and since there's later categories for like favorite antagonist or protagonist and stuff like that, so I assume this to mean like a favorite incidental character, like a side character, or just a character you find particularly memorable that you love.
Well,
That's how I interpreted it, but you can do your own thing.
Well, going along with the Mega Man thing, I'm gonna say Roll from the Mega Man series, Mega Man Classic in particular. I just think she's really adorable. I love I love her like general personality that she tends to have in a lot of media.
Is she actually in the games?
Yeah, she appears at the end of Mega Man 1.
Oh, I did not know that.
Yeah, she appears at the end of Mega Man 1. I believe she appears in a few other NES games. Her biggest roles are in...
Nice pun, bro.
Her biggest roles are, if I remember correctly, in Mega Man 7, where she appears in the opening cutscene. Mega Man 8, where she is a supporting role, where she plays a supporting role in the story through the cutscenes. And Mega Man, I believe it's Mega Man 10, where the Robo-Enza-virus ends up infecting her, and the entire impetus of the story is Mega Man has to find the cure for the Robo-Enza-virus and defeat, whoever is causing the Robo-Enza-virus, who has 8 more robot masters that Mega Man has to destroy. Oh.
So what you're telling me is it's a mystery game.
It's a mystery game, yeah, I can't tell. I don't know who the bad guy could possibly be. Maybe we should ask Dr. Wily about this. He seems to know quite a lot about the Robo-Enza-virus.
What is your opinion on her role in the Egoraptor sequelitis video? Did that annoy you?
It does kind of annoy me because it... So, the entire joke about, Roll coming up, boop, Mega Man, is based on 2 things. One, that is partially Roll Casket's role in the Mega Man Legends games, but mostly the first one, where she drives around in a camper van and talks to you while you're going through dungeons and shit. And the Mega Man Anniversary Collection, which has an optional hints mode, where during certain points in the game there will be like a little exclamation point at the bottom of the screen. You can pause the game, and one of the characters, one of whom is Roll, will tell you little tips and tricks about how to beat certain parts of the game. So it's based on those 2 things, but those are both, like, Roll Casket isn't even classic Roll. That is a completely different character. And the thing from Mega Man the Anniversary Collection is 1, optional, and 2, so goddamn minor that I don't understand why he decided to make her the hint character here. And, like, she's not even annoying or anything in any of the games. Like, her role is, of course, a character who is... I know. Her role in the game is typically a character who is, very supportive of Mega Man, her older brother. Though, interestingly, in the cartoons, she's older than Mega Man. by like, a month.
I think his thought process was just like, I need like a Navi sort of thing here, and she's like, like the most prominent female character of the Mega Man series, so he's just like, well, I'll just stick her in there as a caricature.
Okay, one, kind of fucked up that you said that a female had to be like,
well, because I think it's just because Navi is. I think that's like really Navi and Fi and all that, like that archetype.
Also, if you wanted an annoying side character that tries to help Mega Man, Eddie is right there.
Well, also I think he just really wanted to do his shrill voice, the one female voice he can do.
Yeah, it was probably just down to him wanting to do the female voice, but I do really I fucking adore Roll. She's probably my favorite Mega Man character, actually. And I friggin' love the supportive nature of her character, the kind, supportive, loving, doting character that she is, but she's also got a bit of an attitude on her a little bit too. One of my favorite Roll things is, so there's this other helper character that Dr. Light has in the games named Otto. And Otto is kind of a massive butt monkey in the games, especially in Mega Man 11, where Otto is like, hey, doesn't Dr. Light want to give his number one assistant a break? And Roll just replies, but I'm not even tired, Otto. I fucking love Roll so much. I love her. So yeah, I'm picking Roll for that one. Who did you pick?
Well, with my interpretation as being like an incidental or a side character or something like that, I went with Yes Man from Fallout New Vegas, who is one of the funniest characters in gaming, I think, brought to life by Dave Foley, who really needs to do more voice work because he's fantastic.
All right.
Yeah. Yes Man is sort of the always available option if you want to go independent and not choose any of the factions. So he's basically your Yes Man. He was Benny's Yes Man, but then you kind of like, Benny never programmed him to decide who he follows orders, and when Benny's dead, you can just give him orders, and he's like, yep, I'm just your Yes Man now. And he's just overly enthusiastic about everything you do, even when it contradicts your own plan. And I really love when you fuck up your own plans and he has to still kind of sound supportive. He's like, wow, that's brave of you, sir. That's gonna make things a lot more challenging. Yeah, challenging. And it's just like this like biting, overly positive sarcasm that is so funny.
That sounds hilarious. I love that.
Yeah. Number 3. What?
Go ahead.
Number 3, a game we find underrated.
So, I have one right off the top of my head here.
Go for it!
Fortified Zone on Game Boy.
I don't know what the fuck that is. So
exactly! Fortified Zone is awesome. It's a really short game, but it's this really fun top-down shooter game that the way that the game is designed is you have two different characters, each one having different abilities for like different situations, and you have to use both of them to penetrate your way through this highly fortified base to try and get to the heart of it and destroy the core. And it is just this really, really fun, really enjoyable game. It's not terribly challenging, and you can beat it in like an hour, but it's got a lot of... I feel like it has quite a bit of replay value, because there's a different... like, there's a fair few amount of ways that you can go about different situations. And the game just has fucking amazing music. I love the music in that game. And it has one of the best sound test menus ever. It is a waveform pattern made up of chibi fireballs. It's so cute. I love it. I played Fortified Zone. I came across that game entirely by accident. It was just one of the many games that my uncle gifted to me during Christmas one year. But like, out of all of the games that he gifted to me, like stuff like Fire Pro Wrestling and Super Mario World and shit like that.
Wow, that is an 80s ass game cover.
I know, right? Interestingly, the game cover for Fortified Zone looks nothing like the actual characters in the game. The actual game is anime as fuck.
That is.
Those characters are supposed to be Japanese.
That was common, and such was common in the area. In fact, I'm actually looking at the. Is this the same game? Is there a Japanese title for it?
Ikari no Yosai.
All right, this is Ikari no Yosai 2, but I'm looking at the Japanese cover of it. And yeah, that's more anime.
Yeah. Fortified Zone is actually anime as fuck, which is another reason why I like it. But yeah, I fucking love
the sequel.
Yeah, it's got a couple of sequels, but that's for another time.
Okay.
But
yeah, we got a lot of these to go through.
I fucking love Fortified Zone. It was just one of the many games that my uncle gave me when I was a kid, and like that one just kind of stuck in the back of my head as one that I really enjoyed. And when I found out it was on the 3DS eShop as a virtual console title, I downloaded it immediately. So yeah, I played it fairly recently, and it holds up. It's a really fun game. I love it.
All right.
What would you pick?
Well, I feel like you've about 5 up to me in terms of obscurity, but whatever. I went with Styx Shards of Darkness.
All right.
I went through all of the games that Styx is in last year, which is basically the 2 Styx games and also Of Orcs and Men. Of Orcs and Men is pretty mediocre. I would not really urge anyone to go play. It's pretty mediocre. I look up the cutscenes or whatever. But the Styx games are really the dedicated stealth games starring Styx the Goblin are actually really good. I really liked Master of Shadows, but it was lower budget. It reuses a lot of content. It's a little janky at times, and the reloading is really slow on PS4. But I still really enjoyed it. But Shards of Darkness is just a massively overhauled and improved sequel over Master of Shadows. It's on Unreal 4 now instead of whatever Eurojank engine they were using before. It's on Unreal 4. It looks really nice. It plays really smooth. There's a lot of quality of life features. The reloading is super fast. And it's just a really nice stealth game with the same openness as the as Master of Shadows, with some more varied objectives. I really like Shards of Darkness. It's definitely I don't love that I have to recommend it, because I think once you play Shards of Darkness, it's hard to go back to Master of Shadows, and I feel like Master of Shadows is still worth playing. But Shards of Darkness is such a massively improved sequel. It is one of the best games of 2017 in a year that had a lot of games I really, really love. That is like my favorite year in gaming, actually, is 2017.
It says quite a lot that Styx is that far up there.
Yeah, I mean, like, it doesn't beat like Prey or Hollow Knight or Danganronpa V3, but like it's like number 4-ish, you know.
V3 is probably my favorite game of 2017.
Yeah. So yeah, Styx Shards of Darkness is really, it didn't sell as well as the first game, which is unfortunate because it's such a big improvement. And now they're stuck making licensed stuff and Mutant League Football or Blood Bowl. Actually, the Blood Bowl games, Full Football or whatever, the Mutant League Football I think it is, or something like that. They might be fun. I haven't played those. I know they recently they were part of the deluge of Vampire the Masquerade adjacent games that came out. They did the one focused on werewolves. I think that's the same property. I think it's in the same universe. It's like in the darkness setting or whatever the fuck it's called. Right. Yeah, so that's weird to me that they had all of these side games from these different developers that are coming out for Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines to coincide with Bloodlines the Masquerade 2, but that keeps getting delayed. So now we just have a shitload of these side games coming out, and I don't know how they're doing, but like I guess now they're building up to Bloodlines 2 instead of being sort of companion pieces to it, which is interesting. I don't know how good the werewolf game it made is. I'll have to check that out sometime. But I hope they get back to Styx soon, because Styx Charge of Darkness ends on a cliffhanger, and I'd like them to resolve that at some point. Even though it still takes place before Of Orcs and Men, which is weird.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a weird thing. So yeah, Six Swords of Darkness, good stealth game.
It's interesting so far that the games that we're choosing is like mine are all retro games and yours are a lot more recent.
Yeah, well, that's how it goes.
Yeah. Yeah, well.
Number 4, our guilty pleasure games.
Oh boy. I have one immediately.
What is it, Kevin?
Shadow the Hedgehog.
Woo! That's a good one.
Shadow the Hedgehog is a fucking awful game, but it's so goddamn fun. It is the video game equivalent of a B movie for me.
Yeah.
It is...
For a lot of people. A lot of people... Shadow the Hedgehog.
The story is absolutely crazy-ass dumb.
Give me a gun, I gotta shoot the president.
Yeah, it's a kid's game where you assassinate the president, but not actually, because he escapes, despite the fact that you destroyed his fucking plane before it takes off.
Have some balls, Sega.
Jeez, man. Yeah, this was when, oh man, this is when, like, I could argue Sonic Team still doesn't know what the hell they're doing with Sonic.
We make games, I think.
We make games, I think. What the fuck is a Sonic?
You know, Sonic gave Luffy a straw hat.
Oh, you saw that? You saw that one that I retweeted.
I'm very familiar with that clip. I've seen it multiple times throughout the
Man.
years. It's so fucking great.
It's so funny. It's so funny.
I'm so glad someone thought to record their television at that moment. Or that might have been lost to time, and people would tell stories about this clip that they swear existed. People were like, "Yeah, I remember that too." And like, "No, you're making that up. That's bullshit. That didn't happen." But I'm glad we have evidence that that actually happened.
We have physical proof. Shit. Yeah. Shadow the Hedgehog is easily. Fuck, it's easily my guilty pleasure game. Interestingly, the gameplay mechanics aren't necessarily bad, but like there are various elements of it that are just like slightly off to where it just feels like really quirky and weird to play compared to like even other 3D Sonic games that were coming out at the time. You know, shit like Sonic Heroes and Sonic Adventure 2. It feels very different from those. But like a lot of it is just down to the story and the cutscenes and how try-hard edgy it's trying to be while still kind of being a kid's game.
Yeah. I love that kind of thing.
Reminds me of there's an entire level where you and Knuckles are trying to disarm bombs. But like the evil version of that level is also like you just have to like try and detonate, like it's the difference between like disarming the bombs versus detonating the bombs. And when the bombs go off and destroy the entire city, the very next cutscene is just like the president being like, "Never mind me, what about the people of the city?" And it's like, "It's okay, an order was issued yesterday and everybody was evacuated to the safe zone." It's like, for all of the awful shit that the Black Arms try to do, they can't kill anybody for shit.
My favorite thing about Shadow the Hedgehog, and I can't remember exactly what category it is, but there's a category of speedrun that literally for the longest time took like weeks to do because you had to get like all of the endings, and there's apparently like dozens and dozens of endings in that game.
Hundreds. There are over 300 endings. Yes.
Yes, I remember at one point, I think the speed run of that category or whatever took like 45 days or something.
Yeah, it's... Oh, man. Yeah. Oh,
that's
God.
That's gotta be spliced.
I can't imagine it being done any other way unless you have an amazing amount of stamina. Woo!
Yeah. That's pretty insane.
Yeah, that's a speedrun category very few people have the balls to do, I can assume.
Yeah.
Yeah, I fucking love Shadow the Hedgehog, though. What's your game?
So, I don't really believe in guilty pleasures. You know, I like what I like, and I'm not going to be ashamed about it. But in the spirit of the list, you know, I picked a game that a lot of people. I interpreted it as like a game that a lot of people would raise their eyebrows at and be like, "Oh, you're gonna have to explain that one, Chief." You know, that sort of deal. You know.
Yeah.
So my guilty pleasure game that I've beaten like 2.5 times now is DMC.
Ah, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Maybe it's because I didn't play the old games when I first played DMC, Ninja Theory's DMC, but I actually really like Ninja Theory's DMC.
So, the thing is, a lot of people will actually agree with you that DMC is a good game, but the problem is, a lot of them like make the assertion that it's like, to fully enjoy the game, it has to be fully divorced from the mainline Devil May Cry games, which is how you played it anyway. So, you know,
yeah,
you already had that benefit going in. The main problem a lot of people have is trying to reconcile the approach that DMC has to the Devil May Cry property versus like how the franchise normally is, and like just like the wild differences that there are, and how in some ways the characterization of people like, you know, Dante and Virgil or whatever is just so wildly different from how the games normally are, that it's just kind of hard for people to kind of get to grips with it, because like, this isn't Dante.
I get it. If it happened to a franchise I was into, I'd probably hate it too. But it didn't, so I ended up liking it. And I like its irreverence. I like its absurdity. I like that you fight a fucking unborn child who mutates and forms a giant hulking fetus monster around like a whip. I love that. That's amazing.
I watched my buddy Saradin play one of the bosses recently, and it was basically you're inside of the TV world, and totally not Bill O'Reilly is shouting propaganda at you the entire time.
So that boss fight takes place in like the graphics of a news show.
It does.
It's amazing.
You're basically fighting Fox News. It's amazing. I love it.
Yeah. See, I just love shit like that. I wish the game had more of that stuff, because like that's only like those are like the two big things people point to. But like the other levels are a little bit more conventional. They got the sort of like mirror world prison, the not Slurm factory, the Twisted City streets, and like the big bad guys, like corporate building at the end and stuff like that. So not every level is as fantastic as those, but like, man, I wish that this is gonna piss off all the DMC fans, but I wish that it was like its own sub-series or something, and that it could continue in some fashion. I really do like the style of it.
Yeah, I feel like it could actually continue as kind of like an offshoot of Devil May Cry, but like, I feel like it would have to be slightly rebranded, or actually no, it kind of has its own. I don't know.
I don't think it will, because I think like Ninja Theory is off doing very different things now.
And I think it's very clear that like that isn't the direction that a lot of people want Devil May Cry to go, and that's not what people want out of Devil May Cry. And DMC5 sold fucking amazingly, so and it took literally like an entire re-release for DMC to reach 1 million units. So I think that says a lot.
Yeah, I don't think we're gonna see more from it. But you know, I wish we could, because I personally really like it.
Yeah, I honestly don't. Again, I'm not a fan of Devil May Cry either, but like, I can see the merits to DMC.
Number 5, character you're most like or wish you were like.
That is a really difficult one. I'm gonna let you go first on that one.
Character I wish I was most like is Valvatorez, for his sheer charisma and tenacity.
Yeah, I can agree with that one, actually. Can I just nick your answer there?
Yeah, everyone wants to be like Valvatorez. He's awesome.
Dude, Valvatorez is just so goddamn cool and fun. Like,
yeah.
God, I love just Valvatorez and his just irrepressible positivity and charisma.
Yeah.
Like, he is put into, like, one of the worst situations in the underworld, and he manages to make it work.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he just does it because it's like, well, somebody's got to do this job, and if it's got to be me, then so be it. I'm going to make the best out of this. Fuck all of you.
Yep.
And
dedicated janitor of all time.
I can respect that. I can. And, I fucking love Alva Torres, man. One of Troy Baker's best roles, by far.
Yep, indeed. He also got me on Sardines when I was younger, and I still love Sardines to this day.
Sardines are good shit.
Mm-hmm. Number 6, most annoying character.
Oh, fuck. Okay. Oh, man. Most annoying character. That's a really good question. Shit.
I'm gonna steal your answer that you didn't even know you wanted. I'm gonna say Akane.
Yep. Yeah, no.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Akane Owari from Super Danganronpa 2. Don't like her. She's my second least favorite character in the franchise. And unfortunately, she also lives the entire game, so you have to put up with that a long time.
What pisses me off about Akane is that she has no character development at all.
Mm-hmm.
She is the same character at the end of the game as she was at the beginning of the game. She does not develop at all. And
it's frustrating because they set up an arc and then they just don't do it.
And her character only exists in the game to lengthen trials and basically act as a way for the main character to explain literally every small insignificant detail of the case that's happened, just so that, you know, you're all caught up. Like, you need the idiot in the room, but she's too much of a fucking idiot.
Yeah.
She eats dirt!
Yep. Canonically, it's dirt, and people don't acknowledge that enough.
That's... I hate her so much because, like, she's a character type that I want to like, but they do her all wrong.
I remember early on in our playthrough, you were kind of like hopeful. You were kind of gung ho about this possibility, and I was in the back of my mind. I was like, "We're gonna come to regret this."
It's entirely because Aoi is my favorite DR1 character, and there were some similarities that I saw, and I'm like, "Hey, I might like her too." But no, everything that Aoi did right, Akane does wrong, and I hate it so much.
They subverted your expectations. They did.
Don't you fucking start. They did, but not in a good way. It's like all the worst elements of The Last Jedi coalesced into one character. It's bad.
Yeah. But what I've suspected this for a long time, is that if you look at the really early promotional images for SDR2, you'll notice that Akane has a lot of prominence in the promotional art. And even her last name, Owari, and means end, seems to imply some kind of significance. And I actually think that she was supposed to have more of an involved role in the overall plot, but that got scrapped, and Kadaka ended up having to give her this comic relief role that I just don't think he quite got right.
It doesn't fit. It doesn't fit with what I think the strengths of her character should be. Mm-hmm. And that's really the problem. She's a character with a lot of potential, but none of it is realized.
Mm-hmm.
And you have a moment where you have some semblance of a character arc that she could go through.
Yeah.
When... Should I say spoiler?
Yeah, what? I mean, I already said she lives the whole game, so why not?
Yeah, but well, there's another character, but whatever.
Yeah.
But
anyway,
there's some semblance of a character arc that she could have, but it doesn't go anywhere, and she just spends the rest of the game being the idiot in the trials that you have to explain everything to. It's like, I don't get it. Can you explain it to me, guys? I'm literally too fucking stupid to understand.
This 400th clump of dirt was not very good. Maybe the next one will be better.
She is one of those characters that, like, not only is she annoying, she pisses me off.
And she doesn't go away, and it really drags down what should be an amazing second half of the game, and it is amazing.
God, at the very least, like with Miyu in V3, who also doesn't really develop very much, and
it was on purpose though.
It was on purpose, and there was a point to it, and she's actually funny. Yeah. Miyu actually gets a laugh out of me every once in a while.
Yep.
Just from pure absurdity.
I guess we'll just share that answer. Why not?
Go for it. Yeah.
All right. Number 7, favorite game couple. And because they say couple and not ship, I assume they meant like characters that are like confirmed to be together in some way or fashion. So that kind of limited it for me mentally.
That makes it really hard to give an answer.
It made me realize there's not a lot of couples in video games.
Not a lot, no. The best answer I can give is, oh god, maybe Fox and Crystal from Star Fox, I guess, but like, even then, that's not a terribly great pairing if you consider Star Fox Command canon. Because let me tell you what, their relationship doesn't go well in any of the routes in that game. Oof.
Yeah. So.
But they do have a nice relationship going in Assault, so there is that.
So I kind of like disregarded conventional video games for a bit and just kind of focused on visual novels instead for this one because it just kind of made more sense to me. And I went with Ricky and Rin from Little Busters.
I can agree with that one. Yeah, if we're going by visual novels at that point, Ricky and Rin are a really good are a really good choice. I would also say Jill and Dana from Valhalla are also really good. I like those.
Never
too.
that opinion.
Those are fun.
You can have that.
They're fun.
You can have that opinion.
They do get together at the end. They do.
I know that part. I just didn't derive as much enjoyment from that dynamic as a lot of people seem to have.
Well, I fucking adore that game.
I liked the game, but I didn't love it. But some people are really fucking into it, and that's cool. But it was actually hard to choose because Little Busters has a couple of routes that are really fucking good. Like, I would actually kind of argue that Haruka's route is actually better ridden, but on a personal level, I like Rin more.
Yeah, you did mention that Haruka probably has your favorite route in that game.
Yeah, Hoods is also really good in a romantic sense. Those are like the most romantic ones.
Yeah.
A lot of the other ones, like Kamari and Yuiga?
Yeah.
Yuiga.
I do have to say, Kud is completely fucking adorable. She's in Little Busters. She's probably my favorite character.
Yeah.
With Kyosuke being a close second place.
Yeah. Everyone loves Kyosuke. If you don't love Kyosuke, you were reading it wrong. Anyway.
That just reminds me how you realized that Kyosuke's entire character arc in that game was basically just the Chris posting.
Yeah. It's fantastic. Just fuck my sister, Riki, I'm begging you.
We're trapped in this bus, you need to do it.
It's fantastic, I love it. So much. It's so fucking funny. Number 8, best soundtrack. This is a hard one. I don't know if you know this about video games. They often have great music.
So, that is very true. Well, this one's a bit of... Yeah, this one's really hard. But if I have to pick one, like just one game soundtrack I consistently like find myself going back to.
Yeah.
And this is like kind of an offshoot version of the soundtrack, but I really love the 3DO version of Doom's soundtrack. The 3DO port of Doom is fucking awful, but the Red Book audio that they use for the soundtrack is absolutely fantastic. It has my favorite version of E1M1.
Oh.
There's just this like hard metal track. It's so good.
Yeah.
I fucking love 3DO Doom's soundtrack. It's so fun.
Yeah, so I could have gone with any number of things because I'm a fan of a lot of video games that have a lot of great soundtracks. But I chose to go with one that I think is kind of, in my mind, has become the most unique, the most iconic, and I think the most traditionally excellent in terms of like just pure composition and musicality, and that is the soundtrack for Hollow Knight.
Yeah, I can understand that one. Yeah.
Like Christopher Larkin, in a lot of ways, has no business composing for video games. He is too classically talented, but I'm so glad he brings his skills to the party.
Yeah, from what I have played of Hollow Knight, like, a large part of how good that game feels in terms of its atmosphere comes from his music.
Yeah.
A lot of it is very understated, though.
Yeah. There's some more dynamic pieces later on, but and if you watch channels like 8-Bit Music Theory and whatnot, he's done multiple breakdowns, and there's actually a lot of complicated stuff going on in the music of Hollow Knight in terms of, you know, leitmotif, motif, and recurring elements and symbolism and stuff like that. Like, it's just a supremely well thought out soundtrack, even more so than like there's games that have amazing soundtracks, absolute bangers and whatnot, you know, stuff that I listen to it outside of the context of the game, you know, that sort of thing. But, you know, like in terms of like truly excellent soundtracks, I think Hollow Knight goes beyond just being really listenable and really, really great, and just has a lot more thought, and like it's part of the artistry of the medium in this case. I think it has like that level of complexity and thought put into it that I think elevates it in my mind when we talk about like best soundtracks.
Yeah, I can agree with that one. That's a good choice.
Yeah. And I hope Silk Songs is great. If Silk Song is actually a game that exists and wasn't just a collective fever dream.
Do we all collectively hallucinate?
One of these centuries, it's got to happen.
One of these.
Number 9, the saddest scene. This is also one that could be fucking anything. The trouble with this one is that really sad scenes are often really big spoilers.
I'm going to give a really, really big spoiler for Danganronpa 2.
Okay, spoiler alert, even though we already spoiled Danganronpa 2 at this point, but go on. We're gonna do it more.
Chiaki's execution from Danganronpa 2.
Yeah. I see. That was on my list, but I knew that you were gonna pick it, so I was like, I'll let Kevin have that one.
Chiaki's death. I'm kind of glad that we didn't actually get up to editing that part of our Let's Play of DR2, because I was crying so hard.
He was emotionally compromised.
I was a wreck, dude. That destroyed me.
I actually think the DR3 version is sadder, but
oh god, it is. It really is.
Yeah,
but that's not a video game.
That's true. I'm just pointing it out that this character, this Total Mary Sue, dies twice, and is entirely based on failure. This is all sarcasm, by the way, except for the parts that are true. Anyway, but yeah, I'm just saying I find the DR3 version even sadder, which is impressive, because the SDR2 version was already really sad.
Yeah, with the DR2 version, it's just so much of a shock, and I think I went through all the stages of grief in like 30 minutes.
Yeah.
It was really, really harsh. So yeah, I'm gonna go with Chiaki's execution from DR2.
I didn't want to pick a Danganronpa scene because I feel like that would be too expected of me, you know. I wanted to broaden my horizons a bit and go with something else in my repertoire of video game experience. And this is also a spoiler. Do you mind if I spoil Infamous for you?
Go for it.
My saddest scene is Cole McGrath's sacrifice at the end of Infamous 2. And the ensuing narration by his best friend Zeke Dunbar, which is just a really, really, first of all, like, it was kind of unexpected, honestly, and it probably shouldn't have been, given the themes of heroism and whatnot. You know, the hero sacrifice is often, you know, a core part of that. But I don't know. At the time, I just didn't think they'd go that direction, and they did. And it's not like a shock or anything. It's actually built up considerably because it's the mechanics of the universe and fighting the beast and whatnot, and curing the plague and whatnot, that for almost like the entire back half of the game, Cole has to lead up to this decision, you know, whether he's going to sacrifice his life or not.
Yeah.
And it also ties into other characters' arcs. Like, one thing I really like is that in Infamous 2, you have the two characters, Nyx and Quo, that kind of represent the kind of the good and bad, but it's a little bit more gray in this game. But towards the end of the game, they actually swap roles for their own personal reasons, which I thought was really interesting. It sort of breaks the binary dichotomy of the system in a way.
Yeah.
Because for most of the game, for all of the games up to that point, they represent this binary good bad choice, which a lot of people, you know, criticized in the first game. They weren't in the first game, but like you know, Infamous was sort of the catalyst of that sort of binary good bad choice thing that kind of plagued video games for a while.
Yeah.
So to see them kind of subvert it at the end for reasons that are built up and are very character focused, and it's not like a cheap thing. It makes sense why that happens. But like, I really like that his sacrifice also plays into Quo's character arc and realizing that she made a terrible mistake, prioritizing her, you know, sort of throwing away her job as like a FIB agent or whatever.
Yeah. And
sort of putting her own good above the good of the people and whatnot. And Cole makes the heroic move sort of in her place almost. And she dies anyway because it kills all the what he does basically kills all of the empowered to sort of cure the plague for everyone else who's dying. But I guess what really hits me about the scene is the narration, the very personal narration by his normie best friend Zeke Dunbar, and that sort of happens before the credits, and it's just a really impactful scene for me. So yeah, I'm going with Cole McGrath's sacrifice at the end of Infamous 2.
I like that.
But you don't have to do. You can do the bad ending if you want, which is actually kind of cool in its own way. But yeah, the good ending is that.
Yeah, that's a good choice. Like, there's a lot of meaning behind that one. I really like that one.
Yeah, and I really like that duology. Yeah. And I wish Second Son didn't kill the fucking franchise. That would have been nice if it didn't do that, but it did.
Oh well.
Anyway, number 10. Best gameplay. What I interpreted this to mean is like a style of gameplay that you keep returning to, or a series that, you know, is your home. You know, you don't really get tired of it, and you always like to go back to it. That's kind of what I interpreted it as meaning.
So for me, I'm gonna have to go with classic Mega Man. Just like the entire classic Mega Man series, there's a simplicity but a complexity to how classic Mega Man is designed.
Jump and shoot man.
It's jump and shoot man, but it's also this obstacle course kind of layout for a lot of the stages. And it's all about planning your, like, seeing obstacles and learning how to navigate them, plan of attack, strategy, quick reflexes. It is a very skill-based game series. I mean, there are definitely some obstacles and shit that are just straight up throw you in the deep end, watch you die, and then you have to do it again. Like, you're gonna lose a life either way. There are some of those. But, like, generally speaking, the way Mega Man is typically designed, and this goes throughout the entire classic series, throughout, like, all the games. Some more so than others, but broadly. A lot of Mega Man is based around, you know, the skill of the player, encouraging them to recognize patterns, solve problems, solve puzzles. It is as much an action platformer as it is a puzzle game in a lot of ways, and that's kind of why I love classic Mega Man. You can sit me down in front of the classic Mega Man series and I can play that all day. I fucking love classic Mega Man. It's just soul food for me.
Yeah. So I think see, this is hard for me because I play a lot. I have a large variety of games that I enjoy. You know, I like a lot of different things.
Yeah.
But I think, especially in the last few years, something that I keep returning to, even when I don't necessarily mean to, because I just get a feeling for it, is when it hits, it's great. The gameplay of Ratchet and Clank. I think first of all, like, it's kind of unique. You don't really get that exact sort of thing anywhere else.
Yeah, like this combination of like a third-person shooter with like a puzzle platformer adventure game.
Yeah, with all the chaotic weapons and whatnot. And I really enjoyed this style of gameplay. And obviously it has its ups and downs over the course of so many games. It is particularly susceptible to poor balancing.
Yeah.
Which can happen in certain directions, like the sort of underwhelming weapons and bullet spongy enemies of the latter parts of Up Your Arsenal, or the absolutely insane difficulty spike of the end game of Tools of Destruction, where like you don't do enough damage, you don't have enough ammo, enemies do way too much damage. Like you can really tell Tools of Destruction was Christmas rushed because of just how poor the balancing is towards the end of the game.
Yeah.
But you know, when it's good and it hits a good equilibrium and a good balance and has a good selection of weapons and whatnot, like, man, there's nothing quite like Ratchet and Clank, honestly.
Yeah, I can see why, because like I've never played a Ratchet and Clank game, but I've always loved the look and style of those games and just how they looked like they kind of played. I'm assuming it plays about as well as it looks, which is really damn nice. So I can completely understand why you'd go with Ratchet and Clank for your pick. That's a great choice.
Yeah. Number 11, gaming system of choice.
Oh man, there's a hard one.
See, for me, like, this is a stupid question, you know, because like I go where the games are, you know. That you know, but like, so like, honestly, my answer is kind of just like whatever the current PlayStation is. Honestly, has always kind of been my choice most of the time. You know, that's what I end up playing the most things on, you know?
Yeah. Like, it's kind of a similar thing with me, because the main things I'm playing right now are my Switch and PC games, because I have a gaming laptop. So that's just kind of where I am. But, like, I think the spirit of this question is more so, like, not necessarily favorite, but just, like, maybe something you keep coming back to because of its library and shit like that.
Vita, then?
Yeah, with me, the Vita's a really good choice. Personally, I would go with the Game Boy Advance. And a lot of
I sold mine.
I'd go with the Game Boy Advance just because, I mean, I grew up on the Game Boy Advance. That was, like, my first handheld. But, like, I fucking love a lot of the games on there.
If you pick the DS, you get the entire DS library, too.
Yeah, but the DS doesn't play Game Boy Color or original Game Boy games.
See, I don't have as much. I don't have as much attachment to those. Like, my attachment is purely the GBA games for the most part.
I actually grew up playing a lot of like used Game Boy and Game Boy Color games, so I have a lot of nostalgia for those.
I didn't get a lot. I had a Game Boy and a Game Boy Color growing up, but I didn't get a lot of games for them because my parents are staunch capitalists or whatever. So it wasn't until like I got a DS and I could get more GBA games and stuff like that. So like that's where my nostalgia is.
Yeah, but like even with the Game Boy Advance, like just the Game Boy Advance library, there's so many fucking good games that I think hold up amazingly today. Mario and Luigi Superstar Saga is an amazing RPG. Kind of entry level overall, but like even if you're like a seasoned RPG player, this is a game you can get a lot of enjoyment out of, just out of like the quirky, enjoyable story and the unique
if you're gonna go through all of the peaks of the GBA library, we're gonna be here for the next 8 hours. So don't.
I'm not, but like I'm gonna cherry pick a little bit here. Advance Wars, one of the best turn-based strategy games ever made. It's up there with another Game Boy Advance game, Final Fantasy Tactics Advance.
Yeah.
I love Tactics Advance. That's a great game. Tends to get overshadowed in favor of the original, but in a lot of ways, I think Advance is better gameplay-wise.
You know what is that I haven't played it enough to really say that it's a platform I have a lot of reverence for, but like I like having a hacked 3DS because I get the 3DS library and I get the DS library, and through Virtual Console injection I get all the GBA library, and it's amazing.
And you can play NES games on it too. And if it's a new and if it's a new 3DS, you can play SNES games.
Yeah, and I've actually done some Super Nintendo injection. That tends to work pretty well.
Nice.
As well. So, yeah, it's really nice. Especially, so 3DS pretty good. Hacked 3DS even better.
God,
you get a lot of. You kind of get most, if not all, the Nintendo handheld line up till that point, which is kind of like the end of the line in a lot of ways because the Switch was the hybrid system.
Yeah.
I mean, it is a handheld regardless of what people tell you, but like it kind of like the 3DS feels like the end of like that era, that first like stretch of Nintendo handheld legacy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's nice to have that all in one place.
But yeah, I go with the Game Boy Advance just because it's a combination of it having like, and I'm not even talking about like, I'm disregarding hacks here, but you can go ahead and do that. But
I will.
Go ahead. But like disregarding hacks and shit, I just love how the Game Boy Advance is the Game Boy because it's got everything Game Boy related on it, playable, and it's just kind of this perfect all-in-one system for like an entire like 2 generations of games.
And it's also impressive to me that like the classic GBA is such an iconic design. And it's so comfortable that people like mod backlights into it, which is its one key flaw.
Yeah.
Just to have that. But then the Game Boy Advance SP, which is what I'm more familiar with, that's the one I had, defined the clamshell design, which is a lot of people have a lot of reverence for.
That's another thing. Yeah,
there's 2 models of Game Boy Advance, and they're both sort of defining in a lot of ways.
They really are. Yeah. I personally also prefer like the regular Game Boy Advance's wide design because it fits more comfortably in the hand. But yeah,
one of those modded ones I claim.
I do plan on it. I think those are like 150. I can manage that. But yeah, Game Boy Advance for me by far.
Yeah, that's a great platform.
It's not. I don't think it's Nintendo's best platform, but
it doesn't even have its own dedicated Mario game.
It doesn't.
Which is my favorite bit of trivia.
It's like the only Nintendo system that doesn't have an original like mainline side-scroller Mario. Yeah.
It's got a lot of Mario on it, but none to call its own.
Unfortunately. Yeah, I don't think it's Nintendo's best system overall. I think that's actually the Super Nintendo. But it is probably my personal favorite.
Yeah. I would say that if you really want to see how much I love the Vita, I have several videos about that.
Oh yeah, he does.
Yeah, but
when he was making an article on Amino, on the Danganronpa Amino, he has an entire section called "Oh God, he's going to talk about the PlayStation Vita again."
yeah. I did.
Which should tell you a lot.
Yeah, but like, it's hard for me to choose. Like, I'm just a PlayStation boy, and like, I find a lot to love about each era of the PlayStation.
Yeah.
And those specific libraries and those specific feature sets and those specific vibes. They've all got different vibes. It's interesting. It's not like homogenous anyway. They got different vibes. And so far, I'm really loving the PS5 experience. And once I play some dedicated PS5, made games for it, I'll probably love it even more. I'm looking forward to not seeing a loading screen again.
All right. I think we've spent enough time on this particular question.
Yes. Number 12, game everyone should play. This is really hard because everyone's fucking different. My answer, as I feel like the answer, which is motherfucking peak video game design, Tetris.
Yeah, Tetris is just like the absolute pinnacle of easy to learn, hard to master. And there's just this beautiful simplicity to the art of Tetris. Interestingly, You would think it's hard to fuck up Tetris, but there are some pretty bad Tetris games.
Yeah.
Broadly, though, yeah, Tetris is probably the only video game where design-wise I think it's perfect.
Yeah, anyone can and everyone should play Tetris.
The best version is probably Game Boy, actually.
It was the most iconic.
Like
most popular.
It's the one that sold the Game Boy, and there's a good reason for that. It's
BTFO Mario, you lost to blocks.
Fuck you, Mario.
That is crazy to me that the system seller of the Game Boy was not our lad Mario, but rather differently shaped blocks.
So there's actually a story behind that. They initially wanted to pack in Super Mario Land with the Game Boy, but Gunpei Yokoi, who was the designer for the Game Boy,
Rest his soul.
rest his soul, Gunpei Yokoi argued Tetris should be the packing game because, according to him, Super Mario Land would appeal to the people who were already into video games, people who already played NES and liked games on the NES. Tetris could appeal to anyone, though. Tetris had a distinct universal appeal that Mario didn't have, and that's why Tetris was the packing for the Game Boy. And he was right.
Yep.
He nailed it on that one.
Yep. Yeah, I think if there's one very inoffensive video game that is not only peak of the medium in terms of just the simplicity and yet complexity of design, it's Tetris. It's fucking Tetris.
Absolutely.
It's the answer to this question. So we're moving on. Number 13, game you've played more than 5 times. This was really hard because 5 is a lot. First of all, more than 5 implies 6. That's a lot of times.
I have one very easy answer.
What is your easy answer?
Star Fox 64.
That's actually, that doesn't take too long to, you can go through that multiple times pretty easily.
I've played that game probably like over 20 times through on every route. I love Star Fox 64.
Do you love 3D or you an OG boy?
Honestly, it's kind of both. Because I prefer a lot of the elements of the boss explosion. This is a really weird thing to be nitpicky about, but the boss explosions in the N64 game are so much more satisfying because they come up in this dome mushroom cloud explosion.
Yeah.
In the N64 original, whereas the 3DS version is just larger explosion sprite animations. But overall, I definitely say Star Fox 64 on both 64 and 3DS. Both are very, very valid ways of experiencing the game. They're basically the same. The main difference is just graphically, and 3DS has different music and upgraded voice acting.
So I could be a cheeky bastard and just plop any of the roguelikes I really like in here.
That's cheating. That's cheating.
Yeah, but I won't do that. But there's also very, very few games I've played this many times because I'm an omniglot boy. I play a game and then I go play the next game. I play a lot of games, and I do go back and I replay things every now and again. But this many times is pretty fucking rare, unless the game is designed around it like a roguelike, or just gives me some reason to have done that. But the one answer I can give is a game that's very well suited to having a lot of different playthroughs is Fallout New Vegas. I've definitely had at least 5 playthroughs of Fallout New Vegas.
I feel like that's very common for a lot of fans of Fallout, is New Vegas is the one that they play over and over.
Yeah, well, because there's just there's different paths and there's different builds, and it's the modern Fallout that has the most build diversity, has the most path diversity, and has the most mods. So
okay, all right.
Yeah, You can play. Yeah, like people play the other games multiple times, but you don't get as much out of it, at least out of the vanilla experience, as you do with Fallout New Vegas. Because Fallout New Vegas was designed by people who know what RPGs are, and 3 and 4 were developed by Bethesda, who is still a little weary on the concept.
Another game that I've played more than 5 times, not as much as Star Fox 64, God no, but another game I've played more than 5 times is Sonic Adventure. I've played a lot of Sonic Adventure.
Number 14, current or most recent video game wallpaper.
Well, my current video game wallpaper is Roll from Mega Man Classic.
My current wallpaper is Drex, which is technically a video game because I printed a video game box for it.
Cheater.
I know. That's not my answer. I'm just bringing that up.
I know.
Yeah, I don't recall having a video game wallpaper that I can remember explicitly in any time recently. So I'm gonna go with my most recent PS4 theme based on a video game, which is the Transistor theme. That's actually a really good PS4 theme. Have you ever seen it?
Yeah. I typically go for if we're going with desktop wallpapers and shit. I typically go with anime wallpapers because it's easier to find anime wallpapers that look good. My last laptop, I used a Made in Abyss wallpaper.
I usually go for Outrun art or synthwave art or stuff like that.
Yeah, but I decided to go with some really nice Roll fan art that I found because I fucking love Roll. I mentioned that before, I believe.
Yeah. Number 15, post a screenshot from a game you're playing right now. We can't do that on a podcast, so we're gonna skip that one.
I can tell you right now, I am playing a fuckload of Halo.
I'm playing Fallen Order. And after that, maybe Control. Although I will say, this was such an impulse thing, but I was on Amazon and I wanted to buy a brush, like a brass bristle brush for work to better scrub pots. And that was only $8. And they're like, if you add some more stuff, you can get free shipping. I'm like, ooh, free shipping. And so I was thinking, there was nothing really to get the 25 that I really wanted. And then it recommended me the price cut for $40, the Mass Effect Legendary Edition. And I'm like, impulse buy. I was gonna wait for that to get cheap. Really want free shipping on this brush. So I'm looking forward to playing the Legendary. There's no dedicated PS5 version because Unreal 3. But there are plenty of benefits to playing this PS4 Legendary Edition on PS5. Including higher resolution and frame rate, extra textures and shadows and stuff like that. I believe right on PS5 it runs 4K 60 FPS, which is gonna be my first 4K 60 FPS game.
Can't wait.
So, and there's a lot of improvements in Legendary. Why am I talking about this? This is about. We got so many of these left.
Yeah.
Anyway, Mass Effect soon, maybe. December 16, game with the best cutscenes.
Halo 2 Anniversary Edition.
That's pretty fucking dope.
I just beat Halo 2 Anniversary, and the cutscenes for that are fucking amazing.
In a similar vein, I just wanted to gush about how when I was growing up, when I was a PC gamer, there was always something special about Blizzard cinematics.
Yeah.
Blizzard, the rest of the industry eventually caught up, but early on, Blizzard was king of cinematics. They had their own cinematics department. When they dropped a new cinematic, it was an event.
Yeah.
When there was a new WoW expansion that had a cinematic, or the old cinematic, even the older cinematics in Warcraft 3 or Diablo 2 at the time were fucking amazing. But then the WoW ones and the StarCraft ones, Blizzard used to be really special in that regard, and they still make great cinematics.
Yeah,
don't get me wrong, but it's just that they're not as special anymore because the rest of the industry caught up. But I'm just gonna say, just carte blanche, I'm gonna say just classic Blizzard cinematics or things that there's no other cutscenes in games that I used to get as hyped about as I did Blizzard cinematics.
Yeah, the reason why I went with Halo 2 Anniversary is it takes all of what made the Halo 2 cinematics good, and Halo 2's regular cinematics are already pretty good, but it updates all of them with this Hollywood level of production quality.
It's insane.
It's all done. It's done by Blur Studio.
You might know them from Sonic Unleashed.
And Deadpool.
Yep.
All the cinematics in Halo 2A are done by Blur Studio, and they're so good that I actually want an entire like AAA Halo animated movie done in this style, because it just looks so good and it just elevates the presentation so high and makes everything seem so much grander in scale. And I highly recommend checking out the Gravemind cutscene from Halo 2A. It is one of the most just incredible cutscenes I've ever seen. It's so good.
Number 17, favorite antagonist.
Very good question. Ooh, that's a hard one. Ooh, hello.
For me, I got an answer.
Well, what's your answer?
So for me, I think the best antagonist is the one that gets under your fucking skin the most.
Yeah.
Like the one where you just kind of stop trying to appreciate them on a character level, and you're just like, I just fucking hate you.
I want to see you fail.
Yeah, and that's for me. That's Sophia Lamb from BioShock 2, the sort of collectivist matriarch of the cult in BioShock 2, and biological mother of Eleanor, the little sister you're trying to track down. She is so fucking good at getting under your skin and like negatively interpreting everything you do and twisting her worldview onto everything. She's like, you know, that sort of like, you know, people always joke that Umbridge was the better villain than Voldemort because, you know, she's more relatable. Sophia Lamb has that kind of quality where, like, there's nothing more despicable for a lot of people than just the authority figure that does not take your input or anyone's input into account, and just, they know everything, you know nothing. You know, they're going to twist every word you say, even though you don't say any words, which is really impressive that she's able to do that with a silent protagonist. But, you know, she twists all your actions and whatnot. She twists everyone else's words, and she's just so fucking good at digging under your skin. Now, I get it. Andrew Ryan was very iconic and everything, but he didn't have a lot of presence in the first game, beyond yelling at you when you hacked the vending machines to please stop hacking his vending machines. You know, he has some very memorable scenes, but he doesn't constantly call you on the radio to sort of get under your skin the same way Sophia Lamb does. So Sophia Lamb is the most memorable and most hateable antagonist in a video game for me.
Yeah, I'm having a hard time with this one because I don't play a whole lot of like very story-heavy video games very often. Gameplay is my main focus in a lot of cases. That said, if I had to pick a villain that just like, I will agree with you that like it's really fun to have a villain that just gets under your skin and just like you want to see them fail. But I think there's a certain thing to be said for just a traditional fun villain. And in that regard, there are a lot of different choices in that regard. I think I'm gonna go with a personal pick here. It's not necessarily like the best villain, but just like a villain that I really enjoy, like the relationship they have with the main character. I'm gonna go with Risky Boots from the Shantae series, because I gotta rep Shantae here somewhere.
Yeah.
And I think Risky Boots is an interesting enough villain because of how her relationship with Shantae develops over the course of the games. Of course, we start off, you know, with Risky fucking hating Shantae's guts and wanting to, you know, take her down, rule the world, yada, yada, yada. But, like, over the course of the games, there's a certain level of respect that Risky develops for Shantae, which comes to a peak in Pirate's Curse, and it still lingers throughout the rest of the games with both Half Genie Hero and Seven Sirens.
I kind of feel like they backtrack
a little bit. But like, I really like the dynamic the two of them share in Pirate's Curse, especially with Risky just swearing up and down, no, I fucking hate you, but I hate my old boss more, so I'm going to begrudgingly help you in defeating him so that I can get back my old job of kicking your ass. They kind of become frenemies at the end of that game. I'm a little disappointed that like they backtrack a little bit in Half Genie Hero, but I do really like the entire dynamic that develops throughout the first 3 games. That's fun. All right.
Yep. 18. Favorite protagonist.
Fun. Okay. Is it cliche? Okay. Favorite protagonist? God, this is such a basic answer, but I can't think of any protagonist that I like better than Sonic the Hedgehog.
That he is a socialist icon, so
I love Sonic.
Yep, he's great. A lot of the time,
he's at his best when he has this carefree attitude, but Sonic is at his best when he's written as this carefree character who still believes in like a general sense of good, and when he is,
See, I really like the. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can.
Okay, so I really like. I've linked that video so many fucking times by the storyteller.
Yeah.
I always liked Sonic, but I liked Sonic a lot more after that video because I love the idea of Sonic just being this embodiment of freedom, for good or bad. Because I don't think it's always a universally good thing.
He's just a guy that likes adventure.
Yeah, and he wants what he wants, and I sort of like in a almost like a Goku sort of way, where like he represents this idea, but like it's not always a universally good thing.
Sonic doesn't want to be chained down, and I can respect that desire for freedom and free expression.
He specifically brings up that plot point in Black Knight, where he does that thing against what everyone would consider to be like the heroic option, because it's not aligned with his beliefs, which is like a weird thing. You wouldn't expect that kind of character defining moment to be in Black Knight of all things.
Interestingly, one of the worst Sonic games has Sonic written the best.
Yeah, that's interesting. And I also really enjoy his very anti-corporate origins.
Definitely, yeah.
You can see that visually in the progression of classic Sonic stages, where you go from nature to industrialization, and his chief antagonist is like a beacon of industry, a staunch symbol of industrialization and whatnot. And literally, one of the things you do in classic Sonic is save wildlife.
Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like that's kind of been diluted and sort of reinterpreted over the years to mean a lot of different things, but like that very classic interpretation of the freedom and the. Why am I explaining your choice more than my choice?
No, you're making all the points I would have made anyway. It's fine.
Yeah. Sonic's great.
I love Sonic so much. What would your choice be?
I thought really hard about it, but I only got Raz on the brain right now.
That's fair. Yeah, no, Raz is a fun character. I like Raz.
Yeah. I like Raz. He's kind of like, in a lot of ways, sort of like the pinnacle of the genre for me in terms of character platformers and whatnot. And there are other characters I really like. Like I like Ratchet and I like Sly Cooper and all that. But like I feel like Raz is the most anthropically justified in a lot of ways, because all of his abilities tie into what you can do in the game, and the game reacts so naturally to what you do, and also his platforming is literally justified by his circus acrobat upbringing, which is just a thing that a lot of games don't think about. They don't think about how the main character can jump around and platform like that, but like with Raz is an actual justification for her, which I find really endearing.
Yeah, that's one element that I really do like about Raz, is that the byplay between the story and the gameplay is so seamlessly integrated, especially in terms of Raz and how his abilities are directly affected by his background and who he is as a person. Right down to like his fear of water.
Yeah. Yeah, that's such a common thing in video games that like you can't go on, you die when you go in water. But they actually make that like a plot line in Psychonauts is that his family has this curse to die in water, and that's why you can't go in water in the game.
Like even in Psychonauts 1, there's this early on in the game, there's this section where you're going underwater in this bubble, and you're trying to stay within the bubble as it moves beneath the water. And every time you go to the edge of the bubble, there are these like ghostly hands that try to reach out and grab you.
Yeah. I also really love that sequence because they thought of the detail that when the bubble passes through, like the sea life at the bottom, like everything just falls, like all the fish flop down and all the seaweed just like drops, like it was on land, because it is on land now. And I thought that was just such a cool detail to have in a 2005 game.
God damn, the Xbox really be hitting it though. But
yeah. Yeah, and I love his endearing personality and his relationships and how he develops and grows over the course of the 2 games, or 3 if you count Promise of Ruin. But yeah, I just think he's sort of the pinnacle of this kind of genre, and sort of is the more realistic sort of anthropic principle justification for a lot of common tropes that I find really endearing. Also, I think it's kind of Richard Horvitz's most subdued role, which really showcase, especially in 2, really showcases his strength as an actor, which I really appreciate. You know, he can do more than scream, and I enjoy that. 19, game setting you wish you lived in.
Here's the thing. A lot of video games tend to have really shit settings by design. Just like various elements of it that you just don't want to live in. Because there has to be like a struggle that the character has to deal with. Yeah. I want to know what your answer to this is.
My answer, because of the sheer diversity and the beauty of the setting, in my opinion, and this is a setting I used to be absolutely obsessed with throughout my middle and high school years. You know, like I was a wiki hound. I read everything about it. I dug through all the game incessantly, you know, for lore and details, and I really loved it, and I still fondly remember it to this day, and that's the world of Azeroth, the setting, the Warcraft setting, the world of World of Warcraft, and the related planes and whatnot. There's other settings in that universe like Draenor and whatnot, but yeah, just the world of Azeroth is just, it's like the fictional setting that I have like the most emotional connection to, because I spent not only did I spend hundreds of hours there, you know, taking in, you know, I mean, the graphics may not have been amazing, but like the artistic direction was fantastic.
Of course.
You know, and such a wide diversity of land. That's just a world I love existing in. Like, years after I stopped playing it, I would occasionally just boot into private servers just to fucking wander around and fucking, you know, take in the creatures and the landscapes and all the fucking different skyboxes and the music. I love the music. Like, that's just one of those settings that I regret that I don't have enough time in my life to really exist in anymore. Like I've said it before, that MMOs are kind of for people who don't play a lot of other games, you know, to have like the one game they're really into. And that used to be me, but it's not me anymore. But I do, there's a part of me that does miss that sort of life, you know, that I had this other world that I used to exist in. So yeah, Azeroth.
I'm not really sure what I would go for this answer. I guess the best answer I can probably give right now would probably be just going off the stuff that I've been playing recently. I do find the world of Halo pretty interesting. Halo just has this really great epic sci-fi narrative, and epic sci-fi is shit that I love. I love Star Wars and shit.
You would love Mass Effect.
See, that's what I'm thinking. Like, if I played Mass Effect, I would probably go with Mass Effect.
Yeah, I think you would really love the Mass Effect setting. It's that same space opera vibe as Star Wars, but like it's all new lore and stuff like that. And I think you'd really enjoy that.
Well, one of these days I'll probably get the Mass Effect games on PC and play through them.
There is Legendary Collection on PC, right?
I believe so.
Yeah, because they make a lot of overhaul to the first game, especially to make it more playable and whatnot. So,
Right.
also they made it so that you can create a character and have that same character go through all 3 games instead of having to redo your character customization every time. That's
thank
nice.
God. Oh, thank God.
That's a good quality of life update.
I'd say that's a main update, yeah.
Yep.
But yeah, best I can say right now is Halo, just because I love the epic space opera vibe that entire series has, and just how endlessly cool and vast all of it seems. The art direction for Halo is especially really fucking fantastic.
God, now I just really want you to play Mass Effect. I'm sorry, that's all I can think about now.
It's on the docket. It's on the docket.
Yep. Okay, number 20, favorite genre.
So this is actually a toss-up for me.
Yeah?
It is a toss-up between 3D platformers and first-person shooters.
Whoa.
Those are the 2 kinds of games that I actually grew up playing the most. I played a lot of Mario 64, and I played a lot of GoldenEye. And I've just kind of latched onto both of those as, like, my favorite genres of games for a long time. And interestingly, both first-person shooters and 3D platformers have a similar element to them in that a lot of them are based on a level of precision and control of your character. Which is such an odd thing to say, comparing shit like Mario 64 and like Halo, but when you actually play both of those games, a lot of it is down to precision, learning the mechanics, learning how to make the mechanics work best for you. In a lot of cases, like, there are a lot of different first-person shooters that have elements of puzzle solving and problem solving, obstacles that you have to push through. And occasionally there are platformers that have heavy emphasis on combat and fighting against, like, incredibly powerful forces. Like, there is actually quite a bit of overlap between the various elements that I like between both genres, which is why I find it so hard to pick one between the 2. I just freaking love both, and it's hard for me to say one over the other. So first-person shooters and 3D platformers.
So I'm such an omniglot that I don't have an actual answer to this question. You know, I would get bored of anything, but I'm going to highlight a genre that I really love that I think is a little bit unique to me. And I love it not only in games where it's the highlight and the premise and the point, but also in other games where, like, it's just sort of a facet of it. And that's, I really like games. And I really like stealth sections in games. And I think it's because stealth gives you the opportunity to have, like, the maximum amount of immersion in the world. Because when you're snooping about and you're taking in the detail of the level design and you're overhearing conversations and you're very much existing in that space. And it's also just an aesthetic that I really love, of being unseen and being an observer and skulking about and with the hoods and the night and the darkness and whatnot.
Yeah, that explains why you liked Assassin's Creed for so long.
Sure. back when that was what it was. Yeah, sure. For a while. Sometimes it is. I mean, obviously that's like a recurring, like, it comes and it goes. The reason I'm so apprehensive about that saying that now is because, like, there's so many games, so, like, that's not the vibe. You know. Yeah. Like, especially recently.
I think a closer one for you right now would probably be Hitman.
Yes, I love Hitman. I have the HD collection. I want to go back and play the older games at some point. But I love Hitman, and I love Styx, and the only Splinter Cell game I've really played is Splinter Cell Blacklist, but I want to play the older games as well. I have that collection. And I love Sly Cooper, even though that's more of a platformer, but it's got that stealth aesthetic. It's got that stealth flavoring, you know? It tastes like stealth. And I love, like, stealth in, like, arcane games like Prey and the Dishonored series. A lot of immersive sims have a lot of stealth elements to them as well. Yeah. Which is nice. And you can even stealth, it's not always the best, but you can stealth in Bethesda games, and those are worlds to get lost in, and that kind of enforces my point about immersion and whatnot. So And then I've even played like 2D stealth games, like Mark of the Ninja is really fucking good. The Stealth Inc. games, or the formerly known as Stealth Bastard before Sony was like, you can't say that in the title. Stealth Inc. 1, A Clone in the Dark, and Stealth Inc. 2, A Game of Clones. Or maybe that's the other way around. I don't remember. Anyway, both of those games are pretty good as well. I just love stealth aesthetic and stealth flavoring, honestly. And so that's just something I enjoy about them. And it's kind of cross-genre, because stealth finds its way into a variety of different genres.
Yeah.
You can do it in first-person shooters, you can do it in platformers, in RPGs. Like, it's just, whenever it shows up and when it's done well, I really enjoy it.
Yeah, stealth was actually a very big part of the Wii version of GoldenEye. Weirdly. Yeah, which is very different from the N64 version, which was just a guns-blazing shooter. But yeah...
Hey, is the PS3 GoldenEye a remaster of the Wii GoldenEye?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
So you can just get it on PS3 and it's the same game.
Yeah, okay. Number 21, Best Story.
Oof.
Danganronpa V3.
Danganronpa V3, yeah.
Everyone go home. We're done here.
I think that one speaks for itself. Like, that, yeah.
We had a whole fucking episode about it, and we never shut up about it anyway, so, yeah.
It's like both of us have it as one of our favorite games of all time, so go for it, yeah.
Number 22, a sequel that disappointed you. It's not as common in games. Sequels in games are usually better.
Typically, yeah.
Yeah, that's some people have pointed out over the years. That like sequels in movies, or in books and stuff. It's like, they can be hit or miss. You can lose things, but like games are such an iterative medium that like a lot of times you can only go up. You can only get better in a lot of ways. So most game sequels are usually good.
Yeah.
But what disappointed you, Kevin?
Well, this is a game that I didn't play, but the entire reason why I didn't play it is because I learned it was such a massive downgrade from the games that came before it that it wasn't worth my time.
Okay.
Transformers: Rise of the Dark Spark. Which is a sequel to Fall of Cybertron, which I adore.
Yes.
Rise of the Dark Spark tries to marry the continuities of the aligned continuity and the Michael Bay Transformers movies, and it does so very poorly. The stuff that takes place in the aligned continuity, all of it is just areas and character models and scenes and whatever that are just recycled wholesale from Fall of Cybertron with nothing new added. And all of the stuff that is made brand new is based in the Michael Bay universe, and it's based on Age of Extinction, which is the second worst Bay movie, and
Wait, hold on. Oh, okay, yeah, okay, that checks.
And it is graphically ugly as sin, and it's just bland and boring, and the game design is just super lame, and the story just does not do anything meaningful or unique or new. And I just did not bother. In my mind, there are only 2 War for Cybertron games. That one, I don't consider it to be official, even though, Hasbro and Activision do.
Okay. For me, I'm gonna go with something that did disappoint me, and it's still disappointing to me. I don't think it's the worst thing ever made in the history of ever. I'm not a hyperbolic person. Like, it's a fine video game. I've played it like twice. Like, it's fine. But sequel that disappointed me is BioShock Infinite.
Yeah.
It's not as good. It's not as good.
Yeah, it's one of those things where it's like, yeah, it's good, but it's a 7 out of 10 coming after 9 out of 10. So,
yeah, I might 6 or 7, depending on how I feel that day. Yeah, it's not. Yeah, it has a lot of problems, and I'm really glad that people have caught on to that over time. Because when BioShock Infinite came out, it was nothing but glowing praise for a while.
Yeah,
like people were smoking some fumes. They were high on something, and then they came down.
Different.
And then people came down, they're like, wait a minute, this wasn't actually all that. And I'm glad that for once in my fucking life that actually happened to something I feel that way about. And I don't have to either defend something for the rest of my life or attack something for the rest of the life. I can kind of be on the same page as everyone else and be like, yeah, that wasn't very great.
Interestingly, BioShock 2 is like a lot of people actually go back to that one a lot more favorably these days, even though back when it released, a lot of people saw it as just like the kind of
Map
BioShock
pack.
1 again.
Map pack 1.5 more like. BioShock 2 is amazing, yeah.
Yeah, a lot of people actually go back to that one a lot more recently, I've noticed. Like, it gets a much better reputation than it used to.
Yes, and it's very interesting. It's interesting that the true successor by Ken Levine himself is sort of disregarded in favor of the what's the word I'm trying to look for, the cash grab by 2K Marin that they were actually very authentic about and put a lot of effort into. Especially if you look at the behind the scenes stuff, it's really good.
I mean, Ken Levine sniffs his own farts anyway.
That's true. He's off trying to make a game for blind and deaf people or something. I don't know what the fuck he's doing anymore.
Remember when he tried to get into the hero shooter thing and failed?
No, when?
Or was that Battle Royale? I don't remember. It was a really bad shooter. Anyway.
What game are you talking about?
I don't know the name of it offhand.
Okay. Alright. Anyway, number 23, best art style. Kamatsuzaki, baby!
Abso-fucking-lutely!
It's gotta be Kamatsuzaki, baby!
Danganronpa looks so goddamn cool.
I know character design is only one part of art style, but he's so fucking good at it that it overrides everything else.
I mean, even then, like, Danganronpa, each game kind of has a unique look to it, but it all has this unified art direction.
Yeah.
And it just has this kind of very cool, high contrast.
It's psycho cool.
Psycho cool, yes. I think that
actually, it was psycho pop, and then it was psycho cool.
But like that it's such a weird phrase, but it works to describe how Danganronpa looks. Like,
we don't know what the fuck it means, but we know how it feels.
We do, and that's kind of the big thing. Like, it's all about how it feels to you, and Danganronpa just has this visual aesthetic to it, and a lot of it is just down to Kamatsuzaki being an amazing character designer. One of the best character designers in any video game, honestly. He really knows how to make all of the characters in Danganronpa, like the various dozens of characters, look very uniquely distinct from one another, and also very memorable. Like, you don't forget any of these characters.
Number 24, favorite classic title. I don't know what this means. Let's define what this means first.
So, classic, I'm thinking probably means something that's from closer to the genesis of gaming. Something that's, like, from the early days of the medium, back when everything was still kind of developing, when developers were still trying to figure out how games were designed. Something that's like a progenitor to stuff these days.
Right, okay.
And there are a lot of different answers I could give for this.
Yeah. I'm gonna say maybe, this is weird because I feel like it didn't progenerate a lot of things, but like as a very early classic game, I kind of really love it, and that's Breakout or Brick Breakers.
Yeah.
I actually really like Breakout, especially since it's so perfectly... Part of the reason I don't think it progenerated a lot of things is because it was so perfectly designed for the Atari sort of like dial thing.
Yeah.
And not many systems had like a dial, and it worked best with a dial. So it's actually a really unique example of an Atari game that holds up because it's so uniquely tailored to the system it was on.
So you're going for something that's like that old. I'm gonna go for something.
Well, you told me to.
I mean, there are still genres that were being like codified, and there are still genres that were being codified and like innovated like as early as like the early 90s or whatever. Now, that said, I could easily say, Doom from 1993.
Yeah.
But I'm actually going to go a little older there. And honestly, it's really difficult for me to think of any game that, like... I can't really... This is such a basic bitch answer, but it's gotta be Super Mario Brothers.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really where 2D platformers really evolved to be very similar to... It's where 2D platformers evolved from just being a one-screen obstacle course to just being this full adventure, where you're running through these worlds and exploring, experiencing an entire adventure through a 2D plane. And like nowadays Super Mario Brothers isn't that like impressive, but you can still go back and enjoy it. And I think very similar to Breakout, Brick Breakers or whatever, the simplicity of it is kind of its biggest strength.
Yeah.
And just how tightly it's designed for the time, because it was specifically designed to introduce people to the concept of a platformer without telling them exactly how to play a platformer. Yeah. It's like you got 4 directional buttons and you got 2 buttons, A and B.
Yep.
Figure it out. And it's a very similar thing to Tetris. Like, it's a very simple concept, but getting good at it takes time and it takes practice.
Yeah.
God, Mario and Tetris have a lot of overlap, come to think of it.
Yeah. All right. Number 25, game on your list to play. What's something you've been meaning to get to?
I could literally just list off everything on my Steam wish list right now.
That's true. But like, is there anything that like stands out? It's like, man, I've been wanting to get in that forever. I just got to get the time, or I just got to get in the right mindset, or, something like that.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Probably the biggest one that comes to mind is, oh god, what was it? You know what? Let me look up my Steam wish list and give me your answer real quick.
Okay. My answer is a game that everyone in the intelligent game analysis sphere, I smoked a pipe there, has been going on about since it released, and I've been really looking forward to it. And it recently got an enhanced update, and I was waiting for the Switch port, but it just wasn't coming. So I eventually just bought it when it was on sale on PSN. It has a dedicated PS5 version, so that's cool. A game I'm going to get to at some point soon is Disco Elysium.
Ah, okay.
The classic CRPG with no combat. It's all dialogue and personality roles, and like it kind of like narrativifies. Basically, it turns it's in lieu of traditional combat and whatnot. You have like stats and roles and proficiencies and stuff in different aspects of personality and dialogue and stuff like that. And that's super interesting to me, and apparently it's got a really unique setting and in-depth characters and stuff like that, and a lot of different possibilities and branching paths and stuff. So I'm really looking forward to getting into that, especially now that Final Cut adds more content and voice acting, which is always helpful to get into really dense games like this.
Nice.
Yep. So Disco Elysium is my answer.
My answer. So ever since getting my gaming laptop, I've made a point to try and go back over the last couple of generations of games to try and play games that I never had the chance, because I've been a basic Nintendo bitch for my whole life.
That's true.
And the biggest series, like not just a game, but like an entire series, I have missed out on just based on the fact that I'm a Nintendo player and not an Xbox, PC, or Sony player by trade, is the Batman Arkham series.
Yes, you should. They're great.
Yeah, I've always had a very big... I love Batman. I mean, who doesn't love Batman? But...
Fucking losers, that's who.
But, like, I love the but I love the 3D adventure, stealth, discovery aspect of the way that the Batman Arkham games seem to be designed. And, like, I really like the way that the combat looks for a lot of the games, and I really want to play these games because they just look so fun and seem to have just such immersive and interesting settings. Because, like, the Arkham, like, friggin' Arkham Asylum is not something that is often explored outside of these games. You get, like, individual stories that take place in Arkham, like Arkham Hell's a Place on Earth, but the Arkham games, I feel, were probably the point where, like, this is, like, the most immersive, complete, and the most dense depiction of both Gotham and Arkham in fiction, and I want to experience that.
You should. I played Asylum, I played City, I played a little bit of Origins. They're really good games.
Yeah, and it just goes along with me liking Batman, but, like, it just seems like such an immersive gaming experience, and I want to experience it. I just got to find the time. I got other games that I got to look at. There are new games coming out.
It's always a struggle.
Yeah.
Number 26, best voice acting.
Holy sh!
So I have an interesting answer for this, since I feel like the easy answer would be go for the most emotional, or the most dramatic, or the most impactful voice acting in games. But for me, I think what's more impressive is having deliveries that are so iconic and memorable and enjoyable to hear that you don't mind hearing them over and over and over and over again. So my answer is Overwatch, because not only do they have an incredible roster of voice actors to bring all these wild, diverse characters to life, but the voice deliveries and the lines are so memorable and so central to gameplay, recognizing call-outs and ultimates and things like that. Yeah. That, like, you not only do you not mind hearing them over and over again, but you enjoy it. You enjoy, when it's high noon again, you get excited, even if you're gonna get sniped. Yeah. Because it's just awesome. And that's, like, I think that's one of the best showcases for voice acting talent in video games, is when those kinds of multiplayer character-based experiences where, like, you're gonna hear the same shit over and over again, but you're gonna love it.
That is a really good answer, and I agree. Like, Overwatch has some fantastic voiceover, and a lot of that is just down to the fact that, like, it actually helps to feed into the gameplay loop that Overwatch has, which is not something that you really think about in terms of voice acting. But if if nobody in Overwatch spoke, it would be a very different game.
Yeah.
You'd basically be playing Halo with more superpowers. But
people will be like, but TF2 is funny. I'm like, yes, I love TF2 too. TF2 does this really well as well. But I'm just saying Overwatch is the game I have more hours in, so that's what I'm saying.
What I would say is probably the best voice acting in video games. I like games where, like, I like voice acting where you can understand who the character is just by listening to them speak. And just by the the delivery of the lines is just so memorable, and like, it just makes it incredibly easy to just listen in. The game that immediately jumps to my mind is Grand Theft Auto 5.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Grand Theft Auto 5 has some fucking phenomenal voice acting. There is a reason why everybody quotes the scene where Lamar.
There's a reason the actors remade it in live action like 10 years later.
It's good shit.
Almost.
It's good shit. Yeah. Like, the voice acting is just so perfectly tailored to each character, and it feels real.
Yeah.
That's
every Rockstar game is like that, but I think the higher fidelity allowed them with the motion capture and whatnot. I think his name's Ned Luke, the guy who plays Michael.
Yeah.
He said once he answers questions about, like, the process of. Now, he always likes to stress that when you're working on Rockstar games and big productions like that they're not just voice actors, they're actors.
Yeah.
They do all of their own motion capture and all their own stunts and stuff like that. So, like, the experience in those kinds of games are, like, really more akin to traditional acting than voice acting.
Yeah,
But it's still a key component.
Yeah, and it comes through in the actual experience because there's a degree of nuance and realism to the acting and the characters in Grand Theft Auto 5. The characters are... It's Grand Theft Auto, so the characters are still exaggerated, and there's a lot of absurdity, a lot of wild, crazy things that happen. But a lot of it is very grounded in these characters that feel believable, and a lot of that is just down to how just into the characters each of the actors feels and how seamlessly integrated they are into the roles. It just feels like this living, breathing world, and the voice acting is a large part of that.
I thought, people sometimes criticize Red Dead Redemption 2 for its heaviness and its slower paced gameplay and whatnot. I'm like, but because of the gravitas of the performances given, I feel like you couldn't make it video gamey. I feel like they had to make it slower and heavier and more realistic and more almost simulation like to fit the gravitas of the performances given, because Red Dead Redemption 2, it's almost like period piece acting,
It is, yeah. I mean, Red Dead Redemption is already a period game.
Yeah.
But Red Dead Redemption 2, from what I've seen, I haven't played it, but from what I've seen, Red Dead Redemption 2 feeds more into the setting and the history of the time period in which it takes place. And I feel like going for a more gamey style, similar to the first Red Dead or Grand Theft Auto, I think that would actually kind of do a disservice to what they're trying to do in the story. So I actually really appreciate
don't get me wrong. Don't get me wrong, I am definitely on team why the fuck did you spend 500 mine hours making sure horse balls shrunk correctly in the cold. That level of extraneous detail that that kind of is so superfluous that it feels like it could have been better spent elsewhere.
Yeah, because that's one thing you want on the back of your box: dynamic horse testicle physics.
But I respect the craft. I like video gamey games. I like old school arcadey sort of gameplay focused affairs. But I also love big dramatic narrative technical showcases.
Yeah.
I love games of all kinds, and I feel like I get really annoyed by the arcadey bros, the gamer boy bros, where they poo-poo on the realism and the cinematicness. I'm like, no, that stuff's awesome in its own different way. There's room in this industry that I can enjoy a few rounds of Enter the Gungeon, but also enjoy a story-heavy, cinematic, almost Hollywood-level experience. Even surpassing Hollywood in a lot of ways.
Oh yeah.
Like Red Dead Redemption 2 or Ghost of Tsushima or whatever. It's just, I can enjoy. Both things are good for different reasons. A lot of different games out there.
Yeah, and that's why I chose Grand Theft Auto 5 for mine.
Yeah. Number 27, most epic scene. This is very open-ended.
I'm gonna go with one that I experienced very recently. Master Chief returning the Covenant's bomb in Halo 2.
Yep. You gotta finish the fight.
That's a fun one. I'm returning to their bomb.
Yeah. You gotta,
It says so much about Master Chief's character that, there's just so much dangerous shit that all the other soldiers are just like, negative soldier, you come back here and you have to come back here and you have to stay safe. But Master Chief is just like, I'm gonna bring their bomb back to them. And your commanding officer was just like, alright, bet.
So for this question, I had to think to myself, what scenes do I constantly look up on YouTube to rewatch again? Because I think that's a pretty good indicator of epicness. I have a couple of different examples I could say. Are you okay with Portal spoilers? I'm going to try to make it as minor as possible. The end of Portal 2 where you shoot the moon is fucking awesome. That is such a jaw-dropping moment when the ceiling comes down and the game doesn't tell you what to do, and you're just like, wait a minute, there's a possibility here. And then you shoot the fucking moon, and that's exactly what the game wants you to do. is make a portal on the moon.
I could also go with the final fight in Senran Kagura Burst. That's a really fun one too.
Yeah.
I played the game through like 4 times specifically so I could play that particular mission again.
Number 28, favorite developer.
Shit.
So for me, this is a really hard one. For me, I was like, okay, it has to be someone that has made at least 3 games that I really love and enjoy, and I'm always looking forward to what they do next. At least I feel like that's a good minimum standard for like a favorite developer. And there's a few that fit the bill, and the one I'm leaning towards right now is Arcane Studios, which is kind of cheating because there's 2 different Arcane Studios, but on the box it just says Arcane, so I'm gonna go with that. They've made every game they've made so far. I've really liked. The 2 I haven't played, I actually really like, and I want to get to at some point. Arx Fatalis and the Dark Messiah.
Right.
The one everyone posts gifs of where you freeze the ground through a barrel and the guy goes flying. Yeah, that one. And they're like one of the guys like trying to keep the immersive sim alive in an industry that seems determined to make sure that genre stays dead and buried. So I really respect that, and Deathloop looks awesome. I might not buy it at launch because games are expensive, but I'm definitely gonna play Deathloop at some point. But every game of theirs that they've made that I've played, I really love, and even the games that I haven't played yet, I really want to get to. So I'm gonna say Arcane.
For me,
and they're gonna make me buy a fucking Xbox one of these days too. At this point, that's Yeah.
I think that kind of goes. Yeah, that Arcane's a good choice. My personal choice. There are a good few developers I could choose here, but I'm gonna go with a bit of a non-conventional choice. I'm gonna go with Way Forward.
I knew it. I thought about this last night. I'm like, what's Kevin gonna pick here? It's got to be Way Forward.
It's Way Forward. I love Way Forward. Way Forward.
Well, they know the Way Forward.
Way Forward doesn't necessarily have a spotless track record. They've made their, less than stellar games, but
they've made some poopy garbage.
But something that I respect about Way Forward is a lot of the games that are less good, like a lot of the licensed games that they have to do because they got to pay the bills somehow. They do all of their licensed games and a lot of their shovelware stuff to foot the bill for a lot of their passion projects. Games like the Shantae series, Mighty Switch Force. Stuff like that. And even when you take into account their licensed games, they still make some amazing stuff. Like, you wouldn't expect a game based on the Tom Cruise Mummy movie to be literally any good. But the Mummy Demastered kind of hits. Yeah. So
interesting.
They make passion projects, and they make the best of what they have in a lot of situations. And they've made some really amazing reboots lately. River City Girls, which is a reboot of the Kunio-kun series, and in some ways is a spin-off of River City Ransom. I've played some of that. I have it on Switch. That's a great frickin' beat 'em up. Really love that one. That and Scott Pilgrim are probably the best beat 'em ups on Switch. Highly recommend.
What? No Streets of Rage 4?
Well, I haven't played that one yet.
Well, I'm just saying you can't say it. You can't leave it out of the conversation.
But I love the work that Way Forward puts into their stuff, and how even in terms of their licensed games, they try to put their best foot forward in a lot of regards.
Yeah. You know what I really hope? I hope the Blood Rain Betrayal remaster sells well so they can make more Blood Rain games. I'd love it if they became the Blood Rain developer. That'd be cool.
If Way Forward actually became the main people behind Blood Rain, I'd dig that. I would. And of course, they make the Shantae games, which I'm a massive fan of. And they're making the upcoming remake of Advance Wars 1 and 2, which I'm super freaking hyped for. I freaking love the original Advance Wars games. That's another thing that I love about the Game Boy Advance is the original Advance Wars games. And I'm I easily have to go with Way Forward on this one. I freaking love the games that they do.
Number 29, game you were surprised you liked.
Oh man, fuck. What's your answer for this one? Because I got a weird one.
I'm gonna go with something I played last year that I tried on a whim and I didn't expect to actually beat, because I usually don't play a lot of these kinds of games, or like I do, but like very specific ones. And that's Tokyo Xanadu EX Plus.
Yeah, you blazed through that one. Like, you really got into that one.
Yeah, I still wouldn't say it's amazing, but I had a good time, and I'm kind of surprised I went through a fucking 50-hour JRPG that wasn't from like Atlas. So, yeah, that one. I think it helps that it has very arcadey, sort of almost beat 'em up dungeons, and not like traditional JRPG fucking action point fucking, you know, real time with pause bullshit.
Yeah.
You know, that kind of shit I hate. So the fact that it had kind of quick and dirty, almost arcade style dungeons probably helped a lot.
Yeah. The game I'm going with here is one that I got off of Steam. I actually got it in a humble indie bundle, a good few years ago, and I was shocked by how much I actually enjoyed this one. Refunked, which is this.
That one, yeah.
Yeah, it's this atmospheric puzzle platformer thing where you have to like parkour your way through this course where it's like you press buttons and platforms rise up and you have to navigate the platforms to press more buttons, and it creates like a pattern when you're done. And the fun thing about that is that like there's a lot of different ways that you can enjoy that game. Personally, I just play it every now and then to just kind of turn my brain off, just kind of relax, vibe, and just do whatever, but you can also speedrun the fuck out of it. And that's really fun to do, just trying to get better at the game and go as fast as possible. It can take you as long as like an hour to finish the course, or it can take you like 6 minutes. It all depends on how you want to go about playing the game. It's actually quite diverse in that way, just how you're able to approach it. So yeah, I was surprised at how much I really liked Refunked. I've got it on both Steam and Switch. I got it on Switch because it was dirt cheap at the time, and I had the money to spare. So I figured I got it on Switch too, and it's really good. I love Refunked.
Number 30, favorite game of all time.
Star Fox 64.
Probably something I haven't played yet.
Star Fox 64, I mentioned it earlier, it's the game that I've probably played the most of.
Yeah.
And it is just this perfect blend of having incredibly tight gameplay, really good gameplay variety, incredibly good replay value. Every mission in Star Fox 64 is so memorable for various different reasons. And the pace of the different missions is different as well, because like you have some of these missions that are like very slow and methodical, like the Aquas mission when you're in the Blue Marine, and you also have these like grand epic space battles, I forget the name of it offhand, but it's the one right before Venom on Hard Mode.
Yeah. Where
you have to fight this giant UFO monstrosity at the end of the level, which is like an amazing boss fight, by the way. There's like and like the byplay between whether like the way in which you complete levels can vary so differently, because like one of my favorite examples is in Sector X. You go against like an enemy bioweapon, and if you don't destroy the bioweapon fast enough, Slippy tries to like get a few hits in and gets smacked down to another planet, and you have to go down to that planet in a different route in order to rescue Slippy. And
well, you can't leave Slippy hanging.
You can't leave Slippy hanging. Star Fox also has amazing music. I could literally hum any of the tracks from that game like at the drop of a hat. It's so goddamn memorable. The battle theme is one of the best friggin' boss themes ever, and I fucking love Star Wolf. They are such amazing distaff counterparts to the main Star Fox team. Like they're the Star Fox team through a cracked mirror. And I love the element of how like the backstory of at least one member of Star Wolf, Pigma, is directly linked to the backstory of the main character, Fox. Because like Pigma is the one who got James killed. So like there's kind of a personal vendetta that you have against him. And I friggin' love that element of Star Wolf. And every single Star Wolf fight is fun as hell. The last one on Venom Hard Mode, right before you go up against Andross, is super freaking challenging, but it's so satisfying when you finally beat them in their upgraded Wolfens. God, I could talk for days about Star Fox 64 and how good that is.
Please don't. My butt hurts.
But yeah, do you not have an answer for this one?
I mean, like, I don't really believe in favorites, but I mean, if you want an answer at this time, I'm as a complete package of artistic endeavor and gameplay excellence and lore and story that I'm into, you know, and just something that engaged me on all levels and inspired me in a lot of ways. At this moment, I'd have to go with Holla Knight.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a really
and like
choice.
it is you know, I mean, like, again, I don't like favorites. I don't like playing that game. I play a lot of games. I don't play the favorite game. But if you want an answer, I'd probably say right now Holla Knight, just for being such an excellent complete package and for being so inspiring to me on a personal level.
Yeah, for you, I can imagine that's a really good choice for you. I feel like Hollow Knight embodies so much that you personally love about video games and what they can do as a medium, that it's just kind of your game that like you're into, and I can totally understand that, totally.
Yeah.
And I can't deny the level of polish and the amount of work and detail that goes into Hollow Knight is seriously impressive, especially for the small team that made it.
Yeah. And that's it. That's the whole list. That took about, like always, that took way longer than I thought it would.
2
but
hours.
It was worth
It took 2 hours.
it. But it was worth it. I think.
Right. Yeah, it was totally
Probably.
worth it. I freaking love doing that. See, I
Yeah,
told you I
fun.
had a lot of I had a lot of the answers offhand already.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it worked.
And we learned a lot about each other and about games and about the nature of our place in the universe, perhaps.
Yeah.
Thank you for listening to the Baka Gaijin Show. Sometimes we get weirdly existential at the end, and that's just something you gotta get used to.
Yeah, but it's satisfying all the same.
You can find us on Twitter at ZekeFreak and at CCharmanderK. If you have any comments, questions, or concerns for us to read on the show, you can email us at bakagaijinshow@gmail.com. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you want to stay caught up with new episodes. We're planning to do this pretty frequently, weekly-ish. So, yeah, thanks for tuning into the Baka Gaijin Show. See you next time. Zeke Freak out. Ciao, ciao for now.